you're on the island. Perfect.
I hit go. I'm live now.
Are you on the island?
No, I'm on the dwarf thingy. Underground?
Get over here.
Oh, okay.
So again then,
Yes?
you might be wondering how you get one of these.
Yes, I have a rock. How do I have a rock?
Open the Skyblock menu and click the bones. Click the bone.
Right click your summoned pet to ride it. Okay.
Yeah. Then click the pet and there you go. There's your pet.
So there's
You
like,
level this one up by mining. So
I mean, yeah.
wanna know what it gives you?
Experience?
No, this pet it gives you fucking defense.
Oh. So I guess you just like press shift every so often and keep it with you while you mine?
Yeah.
Also, why is yours level 65?
Because I've been mining for like 4 hours.
Weirdo.
Because I've been mining for 4 hours, okay?
Can I sell this mithril on the market?
You can. It's not worth much though. But while you were gone, wanna know what my mining is now?
What is it now?
18.
Not bad.
If you need me, I'll be in the mithril mine.
Alright. You know what? I wanted to buy more ice. I guess technically I used that yesterday, but still.
Ooh, it's a tablet, alright. It's pink. Very, very pink. I headphone jack, man. Look, Smash's modern flagship phones. It's
Yeah, it's been a minute.
okay. Alright, let's fire up, mate. I'm gonna leave this in
Figure
real
this
time.
mod.
We need to experience it, alright? We're gonna turn her on, and here we go.
What's with the wind?
Huh?
What's with the wind?
Here she goes. It's the
It's an event.
Do I follow it?
If you
So
want,
I
that's an
draw it
event
out.
though, so.
Well,
Just
we need to
planning
do
for
an
time.
event, so...
Well, I've already like done that.
Well, I haven't,
Viewing
so...
angle so bad, you can actually make out the JPEG-ness of the laser logo. Hey, it's a little bit better than like junk tablets of the past, but yeah, she ain't slick. It's like holding a very, very cheap TV. Cause like, so you can see it right from where you are, but from my angle, it's just all over the place. Cause like, watch the colors. And they're gone. That is miserable. Hang on.
We need some stuff, doesn't remember the name, they're brown and fluffy, and he needs 3. I have no idea what you need.
Oh, he wants wrap 3 rabbit's foot.
Ah.
Can you smell the pixels? Yeah, mate. She's 600p, so it's not even up to 720p. Like, she's got the Google apps here, so we can go to.
So yeah, I love
last time
mods.
tried this, it didn't work. Come on, you piece of junk.
Kenton,
Yeah?
you wanna see what my screen looks like? Because I have a
She gets
mod
on
on.
the Wi-Fi.
I mean, sure?
When I tried this last night, YouTube wouldn't even open at all. So this is actually progress. That's it, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got
this
it,
tells me
man.
like
Just all the mithril
waypoints.
locations?
Yeah.
Waypoints for all the areas around here.
11
Ah,
of 34
fair enough.
megs.
Like
God,
this one,
is
this place
hardly
here is
even
called
today.
Lava Springs. So if I go here and you see
Chug,
over here,
chug,
it says Lava
chug,
Springs.
chug. So, while we're waiting here,
So how does one titanium?
you doing alright?
Well,
All your guinea pigs are good?
glad you asked. Let me just
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
do
that.
this real quick.
Well, no, good luck with the second one.
Alright.
Oh, all right,
Let me
then
just
good
move
luck
a
with the
little
third
bit.
one then. Can we stop talking?
Oh.
Yep.
A rock already hit level 4.
Yeah, it
Witness
grows
the
really
install
fast.
Of a 30 megabyte
5.
update. How do they make this so cheap?
6.
Oh.
7.
Come on, you. Alright. How's your capybaras, mate? How's your capybara doing? Oh, really? Oh, well, good luck with 5 of them. I'm gonna get these lights out of the way for a minute. I am connected to the internet. You crazy idiot.
Again, then.
Yeah.
Let me show you how the
Okay.
titanium
Let's
works.
Go the different direction, mate. What? Oh, no internet. Oh, thank you. Oh wow, it looks
So
horrible.
titanium.
What am I even doing? The speaker.
Well, to
right?
start,
The minimum
you have to
volume
check
is
this
still
first.
Too loud. The minimum volume will wake someone up. It's insane. And then the
Okay, so
maximum
check my heart
volume
on mountain.
isn't allowed either. So
Yeah.
from lowest volume to highest
There's,
volume, it's more like this. It's just like the volume's either
You
on
you
or
start with
off,
about a
or-
2%
that?
chance.
Works now. Yeah.
It's on top of the sword.
Oh, get out!
Ah.
Wow, the app actually works. Jink. There I am. Look at the pixelation.
And if you don't have any tokens of the mountain, don't worry about it. Once you get those, you get to unlock this stuff.
I mean,
But, this-
I just unlocked mining speed, so.
Well, yeah, you can do unlock up. Yeah, if you have tokens, you can unlock stuff. So that's mining speed. But
Although everything else requires tier 2, so.
yeah. But basically, you have a
480. Come on,
yeah, it's
480.
weird.
For most people, 480 is.
So do I
It's
just
hard to
eventually
explain.
unlock titanium through that tree?
480, mate.
Well, you should already have it
Don't worry about it. It chugs
if you
pretty
did buy
bad.
this pickaxe, right?
Like really,
Yeah.
really bad. Well,
Cool.
it's
I
got
bought
Ah,
the
guess-
fractured mithril pickaxe. What's it?
Yeah, because there's a chance of titanium appearing. So when you mine, there's a chance that titanium appears.
Okay.
And titanium is whatchamacallit, the titanium is diorite. So when you see diorite, that's yeah. I need to go there.
The frequency of the wind changes is irritating.
Well, yeah, but that's just the event. The event is only up for another 9 minutes.
And I believe it's 1.9 megapixels.
The events that run over here, by the way, are every 20 minutes.
But mate, we
Yeah.
need to stress it out the best way possible, and it's called games. Swish. I figured the best way to
You're
stress
not
this guy
right.
out is a racing game, like 3D graphics, stuff moving around. Let's have a go. Oh no, it has to do this whole spiel with all this crap. Get lost. Oh man, this thing's chugging so bad. Oh man, that only took 20 minutes. Alright, cool, let's get into a race, man. I
Of
need to
course.
race this crappy Dodge Dart.
Royal
Yeah,
Mines. That's
go.
gonna be an interesting one to find,
Oh,
because I have no idea where it is.
Oh, look at the megabytes fly by. Yes, Dodge Dart. Give me the Dodge fart. Let's go. Yes, it's fine. Yeah, mate.
But yeah, there are
Whoa.
enemies in these
Okay,
mines, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Dodge
Should
fart
probably point that
racing.
out.
Yep.
Whoops. Uh-oh. Oh no, I thought I set the controls to not be like this.
Oh, yeah, you can make a
she's not
metro
dropping
code.
frames at
Yep.
all. Well, right, maybe 1 or 2.
Which is just a
I think this is
bottle
like
of Metro, but look at this,
10-year-old
Kenton.
game. So,
Speed plus
It
15.
is doing it. It is doing
So
it.
it makes it so that
But
you
it's-
can never be
it's
one
not
hit.
Nice. Every time some sort of event happens,
And then you
see
get
it just
regeneration after you get
absolutely
hit.
chug. I'm catching you, man.
Yup.
I'm catching you in my Dodge fart. I'm telling you, at the angle that I'm
And it
sitting at,
might
I
actually-
could
might actually
barely
grind
see
for
this
that.
screen. Hey, let me
That-
simulate what I'm seeing. Yeah,
Hang on, was that
mate,
just
this is more
mithril?
like
The
it.
entire recipe?
This is the experience.
Well,
Let
it's
me show you what
Oh,
a
it's
pilot
enchanted
joke this thing
mithril,
really
okay.
is, yeah?
so it's 32
Played Vice City
to make one of these, and
perfectly.
it's
Like,
4
it's
of them
meant to.
per
I wonder
slot.
if it's
So.
worth it to
Totally
buy
cool.
it
Oh,
and
look, a
make
police
it.
car. I'm gonna take
Nope,
the car
you're never
to
getting
the-
that money back.
I'm gonna run, you dingus. Oh, I tried to take the policeman's car. Give me them wheels. Uh-oh.
Okay,
No, this
randomly
won't
just
go
a golden goblin spawn.
well.
Yeah, that's what
come
happens
on.
occasionally.
It runs perfect, right? 10-year-old
Okay,
freebie.
and it's got 200
It's a game that this
okay.
guy does do decently. I love this thing. This works so okay that I've actually put a little bit of time into this. I've actually maxed out the monster truck.
Now what I want to do is, wanted to see what was on Fox's stream. Sorry about that. So, what?
Alright, she's
Yeah, we're joined and
chugging
left.
pretty bad. Oh, I lied.
Okay, then.
Oh man, what's happened? You were working fine yesterday. Okay, now she's picking up. She's
the
in.
forge?
Let's go for the record. Sure, I gotta beat 21:57. Almost there.
Where the fuck is my shit? Where's my...
I can see my
dormant
last
ones.
checkpoint.
Wait,
The terrain is getting treacherous. Oh god! And it's why I like this game. It's like, there you go, and it's over. Oh, the fun thing is,
You shears? This isn't wool. This is mithril.
Yeah, that's mithril. You need to use a pickaxe for it.
Crash, and you have to start again. It did actually come with a case, and it's totally fine. Like, hey, for kiddos.
On the Royal Mines.
So yeah, it's $50. That's a bargain, right?
Well, I mean, they can't just add a new ore. At least not without keeping compatibility with Minecraft 1.8.
Yeah.
So.
Power, and while setting this guy up, like I had to log back into
Yeah.
this to put those apps on there. It was fine.
Now, if they stuck to 118, they absolutely could use in data packs. But
I know a lot of these attempted to get these from maybe like nano.
So Kenton, this thing here, this is what titanium looks like.
Okay. So diorite.
Like they find iPads.
Diorite.
And to us, iPads
Diorite.
are things that just kind of work themselves. Right? This is gonna make her head explode. Boom! Nano everywhere, and the latency is hideous. So I wouldn't even say it's good for kids.
Come
you
on.
press the little X button to make the ads go away, and nothing happens. It's like bap, 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 bap. Well, hope you have cured your morbid curiosity for these stupid things when you see them. And there you go. Like anything newer than the iPad 4, it's gonna do better than this. I reckon an old Air 2 honestly would still hang out just fine.
Oh yeah, wanna know something funny, Kenton?
Sure.
Yeah.
You see that powders countdown that I have over there?
Well,
That powders thing on my next to my on my scoreboard.
I'm looking for it. I'm not seeing it.
Oh,
I see it.
It's on my it's on my it's like the biggest thing on the screen right now. So yeah, that mithril dust, the one that I have 1225 of it,
Yeah.
that's actually worth like mining for. So I could technically, this is mithril, this thing here. So
Yeah.
technically I could just mine this for my commission, which is the Royal Mines mithril, but this will not yield me any dust. Well, not it will yield me some dust. It's not much. And you need dust to like upgrade your stuff. So you need dust to upgrade the stuff, right?
And then it gets worse.
You know,
There's-
Shaw
you know
blocks
that
tell us-
router
Ooh,
supports
I know what I
putting in
need to do.
bridge mode just through accessing
do you
it
need
over
to
the
do?
local IP.
Put it on WAN show.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I'm sorry.
I think it would fit my arm.
Yeah.
Because I haven't watched it
So
yet.
Welcome to the WAN
I
show,
am
ladies
currently
and gentlemen.
mining
We got a fantastic
350
show lined up for you
mithril.
today. That's right. I have managed to start drama with yet another online
Way to
creator. Yep. So we're gonna go through that. Basically.
Oh, did you
I
see
get to
Terran's leaving
apologize
LTT?
again because I was wrong again. So
I
that's
don't
cool.
follow
That's awesome.
LTT.
Start for the
Fair enough,
show.
but his going away message
I
was
wasn't the only
lining
one
some
who
story.
was,
Sorry for stealing so much
a
toilet
bit of a
paper. So
jerk. Nvidia failed to
Uh-huh.
disclose their
And here's
crypto earnings
toilet
and ended
paper.
up with a $5.5 million penalty. We're gonna be
Yeah, I
talking about
haven't
that.
been
What else we got?
following
Future
LTT
Motion
for a
pulls
long time
John
now.
Deere with one-wheel repairs. It's actually
because
It's
he's
way
getting married and
spicier
he's
than
moving
he
on.
made it sound. That was it.
that's
yeah.
the title that I was given.
Luke's all like, it's a boring thing, but it's like
It's brutal.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Oh, okay, that's table. Just need to.
There's one Karen Sim.
everyone. Hi, Darren. Thank you all for coming to what is apparently my party.
So I can't then.
Yes?
For the mithril mining, I am mining. You see what I'm mining, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why I don't mine the wool. It's because I actually like to keep my sanity.
Fair enough, I guess. But regardless.
Because these pickaxes are slow as fuck to mine do that.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Slow mine it.
I will try if I want to. Pure coincidence that this happened to be on this day 2 weeks ago when I gave my notice because I'm quitting. If you don't know.
Thank you for that.
What? No way. Right. So, this is my parting gift to Linus.
Okay.
What do you get for the man who has everything?
I legitimately don't know. Is it what I think it is?
What do you think it is?
Is it made in New Westminster?
I don't.
Is there a big factory in New Westminster that makes this?
How do you know?
Yes, there is.
It requires some explanation.
Yes, I think it does.
When I got out of high school,
I have.
I already have some.
Hold on.
You need the good stuff.
Okay, yeah, I'm ready.
It was very hard to find work. And thank you.
It's just ready for you when you need it.
And the only work I could find was Subway.
It's fresh.
And
You're gonna make me go too.
I was only making like $700 a month. My rent was $500. So I lived like that for a long time. It was really tough. And I had to choose between food and toilet paper. Like, for $5 you can buy a bag of rice and it'll last a week, right? Or you can buy toilet paper. So I would steal toilet paper from Subway. I would, you know, take the roll off and bring it. There it is. Bring it home. Although they were much bigger and much less comfortable.
It's the good right here.
I got the good right? Because it was, you know, I was so desperately poor. So this is a habit that stuck with me for a long time. And it stayed with me when I was working here.
Oh.
Yeah. So, probably for about 2 to 3 years, I stole toilet paper. From the office. It's true.
It's pretty charitable to call it an office at that point.
Yeah, it was a house. And it was around the time that I finally bought my first car that I realized I was going to be okay and that I could afford to buy toilet paper. So I got in my car.
Taryn from Minus Tech Tips is quitting, and this is the video he posted about him leaving, basically.
And I drove to the store and I bought toilet paper for the very first time. And I have not stolen since. So, I wanted to give you this to replace the toilet paper that I stole over the years. So I want you to just put it in the utility closet downstairs. You can have some if you want. And just restock.
Can you show me how I do it? Do I need to unroll
You
it?
put it in your backpack.
Get it? Oh, okay. I thought maybe there was a technique, like you kind of flatten them
No,
out.
you just
and-
put it in your backpack.
Yeah.
So really, it's a gift for all of you. The crappiest gift I've ever given anyone. It's came up with that beforehand. One more thing. If you, the viewer, are struggling, please go to a food bank. I should have done that. And if you have money to spare, please donate to a food bank.
No.
Don't give them food. Give them money. They can get a lot more done with money. I still kind of regret not doing that. That's all.
Well, I mean, you gotta.
He was one of the first employees at Linus Tech Tips. Like, genuinely was. And now he's leaving. For, you know, something better, basically.
Super
It's,
bad.
like, really
It's
bad.
actually, and it's like kind of embarrassing. Also,
But he did admit
we
that
have
he
some
stole
stuff from
toilet
Ivan?
paper from the
Yeah.
office.
which is actually like really cool.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
We've got we're gonna announce what exactly Ivan has figured out to do with his, what is it, like 20 years of GPU history, his GPU collection. If you guys don't remember Ivan, he formerly worked here. I used to work with him back at NCIX, a longtime friend, and we've got some really
I didn't know Ivan
interesting
left.
news about all of that. So let's roll that intro.
Huh?
Sorry, just something to do with the rain show.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, he's the one that would occasionally be featured in an LTT video when they needed to talk about keyboards or macros. Because, like,
What? They're saying that- let's look
he's
there.
the person that managed
The
to
show is
get,
brought
like,
today by
4 keyboards
Squarespace,
going at the same time.
Wavefront, and Pulseway. There's also people
Nice.
telling me that I should do a pec flex. Like,
I
that's-
have no idea
that's
how
what the
to
small
get a
shirt
silver
makes
fish
people
pet,
think
but
about.
fair enough.
Let's
Yeah.
go ahead and jump into the first topic, which no is not going to be the NVIDIA thing. Instead, it is going to be me solemnly swearing, I cross my heart, hope to die, to never unnecessarily feud with another creator again. Pokimane rightfully took issue with some of my comments on the previous WAN show. I do think that her initial take, at least in the limited context I had, because it was a tweet, which is why I just shouldn't have addressed it in the first place.
This is why Twitter sucks. Yeah.
It's one of the reasons Twitter sucks. I do think that this was not an amazing take, but I shouldn't have reacted to it the way that I did, because it's clear that there were multiple additional layers to her take, which she actually very graciously spelled out for me in a way that even I can understand, which is great.
Though I think her response was actually very good.
Yeah, she basically gave me a lesson on how to disagree with people on the internet. I got told.
Which you needed, I
And
think.
look, the reality of it is, sometimes I need to go to school, but I like to think that I learn.
I think the part, and I should have.
Arsenal
honestly, I
started
should have
to
stepped
get you a
in.
bunch of enchanted cobblestone.
but
I mean,
the-
we'll
the
see.
voice.
I might make one for myself. It's not exactly
As I
like,
already said to her, and we've
cobblestone's
talked
hard to
privately
come by.
already,
Cool. Okay.
Outside of what
I was
already-
hoping that would.
Yeah.
outside of what I said publicly, the voice was actually just like, that's just it had nothing to do with her. The reality of it is, even though I've followed her career for a very long time, because in my mind she's
legendary and prolific.
well, it's not even that, because there's plenty of legendary and prolific online creators that whose careers I do not follow.
Okay,
Because the
fair enough.
reality of it is, I don't have time to watch a ton of
There's lots of
content,
them, yeah.
especially streamers. No offense, but I mean, really, to really follow someone who streams like 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week
It's a
for
lot.
6, 7, 10 hours. I mean, I have stuff to do.
Yeah.
Like, I have a company to run, and I have a family to like pay attention to sometimes. Like, it's not realistic, right? So I don't necessarily follow the content, but I follow key careers. So careers that I follow
Yeah, fair
include
enough.
people like Phil DeFranco, whose career I've followed because it was one after which I very closely modeled my own. Okay, so you start out as like a guy making videos, and then you figure out, okay, we need to create new content formats and build teams, and then hopefully, man, the day SourceFed imploded, I was like, is that my destiny? Like, these motherfuckers-
Oh no.
because I was watching him seemingly build this empire, and then things went kind of muddy for a bit, And I was like, okay, nothing good ever stays. Oh no. Like, do you remember me freaking out about that at the time?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that was way back when we were in the Langley house. We weren't nearly as established as we are now. So the reason that I follow people like a Phil DeFranco or people like Pokimane is that they tend to take.
If you want to still
Oh, am I? Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that they take a more, in my assessment, business-oriented approach to what they're doing versus just being a magnetic, electric personality that people can't resist and just kind of letting everyone else do the work. And that's not to say that those individuals don't have these magnetic personalities. Obviously, you cannot succeed in this space without having some degree of likability or being me. Just ending up annoying everybody with the hot takes.
Brutal.
I'm just saying that there's a reason that I've followed her career, and so the reality of it is I didn't want to start beef with her. It had nothing to do with her style or anything like that. That's just like my go-to like Valley Girl voice. And one of the reasons that I do the Valley Girl voice is that I will often do it as sort of an exaggeration of the way that I already talk. And when I'm scripted, right, I don't like, say like and stuff, a lot, like, right? But I actually get a ton of feedback on the WAN show, and I've tried to cut it back, that I really do speak Valley Girl, and that's a bit of a north, like the Pacific Northwest thing, I think.
It is, yeah.
So sorry, but like, what am I supposed to do about that? That's how I speak. That's just how. And so I will tend to, if I am, and I already acknowledged it was very rude, but if I'm mocking something that I consider to be a bad or a dumb take, then I tend to lean into it a little heavier. It was nothing to do with her, and yeah, I should not have done that.
I think it just should have been
terrible.
isolated. If you were going to go after her take, the voicing shouldn't have been.
And really, the worst part is that if I was gonna say, okay, nameless creator, I shouldn't have replied on Twitter. I kind of didn't think people would put 2 and 2 together, and I figured there were probably other creators with the same take, so I wasn't gonna end up becoming a personal thing.
I interpreted the nameless creator thing, which was worded a little oddly, but I interpreted it as you trying to just not bring more light to it.
Unfortunately, because I had replied
Housewife.
to the tweet, which
Then it sounded like a slight.
it sounded like I was like, oh yeah, Pokemon, what is she, like, Canadian or something? Gross, right?
Yeah.
It's
Apparently,
funny
I've got
Can
2
you even hear
commissions
me?
turned in.
Just-
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know. There might be people who don't know.
I asked you a question.
Yeah, I answered decent.
The point is,
That didn't come through.
I blame Discord.
terrible tweet. I removed the tweet. I'm not gonna remove the bit of the WAN show, and I've already told her this, and if she wants me to remove it, I'll remove it. But I believe in transparency. I made a mistake. It was stupid. She explained in great detail some of the more nuanced aspects of what she was complaining about and why it matters, and I don't disagree with that. I still think her initial tweet sucks. And like, honestly, you can see, and like, sorry. Honestly, you can see that for her to explain it in a way that
It took screenshots of a notes app because
Yes,
Twitter sucks.
because Twitter sucks. And
Yeah.
so I think ultimately what I need to do is significantly cut back my Twitter consumption and
That's-
use.
You know what? I think if everyone did that,
Turn your
the
clouds
The world
off,
would probably be a
Kenton.
better place. And what I
Fine.
also need to do is say, hey, sorry, my bad. That was my bad. And I mean, I already kind of covered this in my reply to her as well. Maybe because I've never really, like I said, I've followed her. That's the reason her tweets show up on my timeline, and like I always get news about her and stuff because I do pay attention. Even though I wasn't following her on Twitter because I just don't follow people on Twitter. My follows are super random. It's mostly just people I've had to DM at some point.
yeah.
Anyway, like even though I don't follow her, I tend to just like get those tweets promoted to me. And I think the reason
Halfway
that I
there.
just like knee-jerk reacted to it was because I was like, this, I thought she got it. And it seemed like she didn't get it. And then it turns out she super gets it. And it was just me who didn't get it. So, great.
Sounds good. Moving
Can I
on.
be done with this? Can I
Yep.
move on?
Yeah,
Can
we're
I
good.
just not feud with any other creators ever again?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
I like that you guys kind of had a chat.
You know what?
I
That's
think
actually something we both said in our DMs is like, it's unfortunate that it's because of this, but I'm glad we finally connected.
Yeah, no, but seriously though, like that, I think that's actually cool.
Yeah,
'Cause
we'll probably find an excuse to work together at some point in the future.
and that's
It's a matter of
cool.
time.
I like when things get properly resolved. If like you know, ideally they don't happen in the first place, but it's cool that things were like. I think her response was very level, and then I think it's cool that
Yep.
it was resolved from there.
It's
And I think
cool
we
that
can
I
move
got
on.
a second try at this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't we talk about NVIDIA? Maybe they want a second try disclosing their crypto earnings.
Nice.
The original source here is sec.gov.
That's a nice source.
The
I like
SEC charges NVIDIA Corporation with inadequate disclosures about the impact of crypto mining. See, that's the thing when you're a public company is you actually do need to say what your revenues are and where they come from. You do need to provide accurate information about the trajectory that your business is on, and I can see from a PR standpoint.
What did you just
why
open up
it
the
might
back
not
on?
be in Nvidia's interest
MSI
to
Afterburner.
disclose just how many of their GPUs are being
You
sold
left
to crypto
Skyblock.
miners, even
know.
though we all have Twitter.
Why?
Okay?
Oh, wait, I
we
left
all know how to
Skyblock?
go to videocardz.com
Yeah.
and
I
see
mean,
that
that may be
Nvidia is
because the game's
selling
frozen.
a lot of GPUs to crypto miners, whatever they might say about.
What did you
"Well,
do?
We created CMP
Hold
so
on,
that
turn on
GeForce
shaders.
cards won't go to.
Why?
Why not?
Well, the Securities and Exchange Commission announced settled charges against NVIDIA for
If you really
inadequate disclosures. during
want to not
consecutive
see
quarters
anything,
in the 2018
yeah.
fiscal year, NVIDIA. I'm just gonna say allegedly. Just it doesn't seem to be allegedly because this is settled. So I just don't want to get on.
Throw her out there.
Yeah,
anyways.
I'm throwing them out there. I'm
Yeah.
throwing it out there.
Your
anyway.
game might crash.
Failed to disclose
it
that
very
mining
much might.
was a significant element of its material revenue growth from the sale of its graphics processing units designed and marketed for gaming. NVIDIA misled investors by reporting a huge boost in revenue related to gaming, despite most of those cards going straight into the hands of miners.
Absolutely.
So if you were wondering if what you suspected all along was true,
and like
I was
everyone told
spawned
you was
spawned
true.
in
and
limbo.
like what everybody knew, that
Yeah.
NVIDIA never gave it two flights about gamers, then you and their investors are in the same boat.
Yeah.
Haha,
Nice.
I don't know. The reason that this is an issue is because the boom and bust nature of crypto mining means that these sales numbers don't indicate any kind of reliable future growth. And analysts and investors routinely asked senior management about the extent to which increases in gaming revenue during this time were driven by crypto mining. Like they did mention crypto mining as an important factor in other markets, so they know that profits from sales for cryptocurrency mining is a thing, which would seem to suggest that, at least in the SEC's eyes, that NVIDIA was being deliberately deceptive. I mean, I personally can't imagine NVIDIA being deliberately
Never.
deceptive
They've never done that
or
before.
manipulating the flow of information.
Nope, not
What's
at
the
all.
command to
No.
get back to
No,
Skyblock?
I don't think NVIDIA's ever done that. So
Just in case
we
you don't
should
get it.
probably no, Luke. No, I will not.
Personally been involved. in
You get NVIDIA's name out of your mouth.
Did you? Okay, this is. I don't want to get into it, but there was a tackle thing. Did you hear about that?
Oh no, what tackle thing?
Okay, yeah, you're gonna want to look that up after the show, but it's pretty epic. But yeah, this is brutal. If you were really hoping like, hey, this annoys me for whatever reason, I'm hoping they brought the hammer down. Not so much. If you know how much like revenue Nvidia deals in, 5.5 million USD is not really that big of a deal. I mean, it sucks for Nvidia.
For cost of doing
a
business.
little.
I don't
I
think
think-
it would majorly change any strategies moving forward.
Probably not. Also, NVIDIA is not admitting to any wrongdoing as part of this settlement,
Nice.
but agrees to stop any unlawful failures to disclose information.
Okay.
I'm not. It's like your kid being like, I'm not admitting to taking the pies that were cooling on the window, but I will definitely stop doing that, and the pies will stop disappearing. Man, I love just like legal crap, you know?
Oh man.
Ah.
Good rock.
Oh wait, no, is this the Dave Chappelle tackle?
Yeah.
Okay, I do know about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the rock
Chris
teleports
Rock
whenever you
jumped up on
shift.
stage and
Yep.
grabbed the mic and was like, "Was that Will Smith?" Sorry, let's not. Everyone on the planet will have talked about this like a million times. I don't think we need to.
Oh man, yeah,
add
no,
ourselves
I
to the
just
ring. But I just find it very funny. And I mean, he's a comedian, and that was what he was trying to do. So good job.
yeah. Can I just say that? I mean, man, I hope this is not a hot take, but like I have always loved Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
like,
yeah, Kenton.
Yes?
I think the first bit I ever saw.
You're
from
just
him,
glad that you have still the easy,
was back.
easy
this was,
commissions.
back when we had satellite TV.
Oh yeah, that's what I was doing. I was running the
so
tournament
we could have, like
commissions.
HBO and stuff. Like,
Yeah, you have the easy ones. Still.
Anyway, the
Mine
point is,
10,000.
The first bit I ever saw from him that just made me like just completely lose.
No, 350 is a lot.
Guns and bullets. Like how you don't need gun control. What you need is bullet control. You need so it was like basically
Sun
the
is shining
punchline
through a
is,
solid wall.
If every bullet costs
Yep, that's why we don't use
I
shaders.
mean,
No, I disagree. This looks epic.
basically murder investigations are simple, right? I mean, he must have done something. It's got $50,000 worth of bullets in him.
This was very expensive.
Like, like the whole bit is like you have no more innocent bystanders if every bullet costs $5,000. Anyway, love Chris Rock. I hope that's not controversial.
I suspect that's going to be taken as a hot
Is
take
he
somewhere.
canceled? I don't know.
I have no idea. I don't know enough. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh yeah, the kings
Anyway,
change
I
every
thought
day.
this thing was funny one.
Yeah, I also just got
Yeah,
50,000
I just,
coins for finding
anyway.
a secret monolith.
So Nvidia,
Or drift monolith.
gonna be business as usual, I guess.
Bad.
Yes.
Stop it.
Probably pretty bad. Oh, we should talk about probably pretty bad things.
Oh,
going
yeah,
on
that
with
thing, yeah.
LTTstore.com. We actually have some dead stock. So for the first time in basically forever, we are going to run some promos.
Hey.
And
yeah,
now you have new
wait a minute.
commissions.
That's
Yep.
right, ladies and gentlemen. On LTTstore.com, we ordered like thousands too many of the 1200 millimeter by 700 millimeter desk pad. So I'm gonna pull. Actually, Luke is gonna pull that up, so I can go ahead and
Got it.
share his screen. Oh, Luke can share his own
Done.
screen now. I love that.
Amazing.
No, I will take it back. We both have stream decks. Well, you're not gonna fight me? Because I'll
Put your
fight
screen
you.
up. Oh,
No, I'll fight you. I'll fight you.
They
I
both
can
have
spam it.
stream decks now because Karen was using one and now he doesn't
Okay,
work
which one
there,
was
so
it?
they have
1200
spare, a
by
spare
700.
stream
By
deck.
700. Okay.
If you pick up a 1.2 meter by 70 centimeter desk pad,
That's a big pad.
you can get a free dad hat with discount code MAYTHEDESKPAD. Valid through Tuesday, 11:59 Pacific time. Also, Constellation shirts are still available through the weekend.
Hey.
Oh yeah,
If
you
you
might
take
want to
the
make
listing down
might
on
want to look
Monday. If you
at
don't
some of
have
those
one already, either the
mithril
short
mining
sleeve
things, because some of
or
them
the
are
long
in a
sleeve, you are
specific
going to
location,
want
like
to
mine.
get on that. Actually,
It
I've got that one
it
up on
was
my
just
screen.
mine like
Constellation shirt,
10,000
this is our
or
last
something like
printing
that,
of
or
it.
150,
I really
one
need
of
to
the
get
other.
a couple of these long sleeves because I think they look amazing.
Yeah, because there's ones that you have to actually like read where it is to progress, because you know.
I'm gonna go to a check now.
Speaking of Monday, keep an eye.
Hold on. We got one more thing that
Okay,
Nick wants me to
okay,
have in here.
okay.
Right. So, key selling point for the 1200 by 700 desk pad is that it is so big that if you and your whole household need desk pads, I'm
Or a
not
blanket.
encouraging you to cut it up into 4 desk pads.
Oh.
I'm just telling you probably could. Well, think about it. 35
Yeah.
mil, okay, by
Your edges
what
won't
would that be? Well, no,
great.
you'll have to be careful.
Yeah.
Oh,
You could give it a
scheduled
little
reboot in a minute.
fire.
Yeah.
All right.
But 35 mil by what, like 600 mil is a decent sized desk
Oh,
pad. It
thanks,
costs
I guess.
exactly the same amount as the rest of them. That's why those ones, I think, that's my theory as to why those ones were moving really, really well at the beginning. But then I think it was like an early mention of that kind of drove a spike in it. So we reordered based on that spike. And then we never like reminded people, you know, hey, if you don't care about the really nicely stitched edges and if the design really doesn't mean that much to you, this is essentially like $7.50 desk pads. Go for it.
That's
So
actually pretty amazing.
yeah, we got to
And, like,
move some. Let's do this.
You would end up with a bad edge, but you can absolutely fix it, and you can do a better fix than just a flame too. There's more you can do to it.
That's true, but come on, most people won't.
That's probably all you'll do.
What
Yeah.
were you gonna? Oh yeah, right.
Yes.
And nope, sorry. Nick is first.
Okay.
Creator Warehouse has a new job posting up over on LinusMediaGroup.com.
Mine was gonna be a job posting.
No, they get their job posting first. We need a tool design engineer. We need someone who is a specialist in tools. Not because the screwdriver is having trouble. The screwdriver is absolutely
already
on
back.
track for a summer release, but because we
Pardon?
are so happy with the screwdriver
I'm already
that we
back.
want to
Yeah.
pursue more tools. Man,
Heck yeah.
oh man, this is great. Okay, I'm about to go into story time. Sorry, we will hear about your job posting eventually, but this story time is really good. On every
Actually,
video,
really important.
on every video talking about the screwdriver, whether
Oh.
it's a clip from WAN show, whether it's the unlisted video on YouTube that's on the product page,
Yeah.
anytime I go through it, in particular there was this one seemingly extremely small tool review channel that literally posted dozens of comments comparing the build quality and features and fit and finish.
You know
of
you
our
can just use the
screwdriver
BZ command,
to
right?
other screwdrivers that were definitely
I know.
better and definitely cheaper. I actually ended up, I very rarely block people, but I'm sitting here going, at this point,
You do that
this
in
is
a video.
basically commercial spam. Like you
Yeah.
actually may not, you may not do that. You can do it, you can post one comment saying how you feel about it, but it was dozens and dozens of comments. Literally every reply would have this person talking about, in particular, this one Vera one, or Vera, however you pronounce it. It's German with a
Okay.
W.
Yeah.
So
No, I've heard of
Vera,
that.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your
There's
loading
one
times are
Vera
kind of
driver,
insane.
And
Yeah,
then
they
there
are.
was one other one that they were just pushing.
Maybe
pushing,
don't
pushing,
use
pushing,
shaders.
pushing. I'm not gonna.
I'm actually confused
I
as to why shaders
am
are
not
affecting
going
load times,
to
because they
take a
shouldn't.
position on the
Oh, they are.
quality of the
Clearly.
Vera driver. But what I will say is that we ordered one to look at it, and it inspired us to do a pop-up shop with the first 1,000 units of our screwdriver. So we're working on that right now, because this is my solution to how to not take pre-orders, but be able to fix our cash flow problem. So I was already kind of thinking about it, and then seeing this competing product made me think, I know how to do this. The first 1,000 units are what's called a top of production, like a top of production run. So you're using your full mass production tooling and machinery, but you don't actually mass produce. You don't build all 100,000 units. You do 1,000 units so that if something does go catastrophically wrong compared to the small test runs,
Right. Yeah.
you can fix it before you make 100,000 units.
Yeah.
So we're doing 1,000 units, and what we were going to, and then we're going to airship them here so that we can hand inspect every single one of them. And what we were going to do is we were going to just sit on them, wait till we had 20 to 30,000 units completely
just-
built and boxed, and then open the floodgates. But I was inspired. I was inspired by not just the Vera driver, but some of the other ones that people have been posting are so much better than our screwdriver, in spite of the fact that I know for a fact they've never touched ours.
Yeah.
I was inspired to do a pop-up shop where we're going to have 1,000 units available. It'll be here somewhere in the greater Vancouver area. And at that pop-up shop, we are going to have tables.
I was gonna
Just
say.
cheap, crappy folding tables with pretty much every competing screwdriver. And I am very confident that people are going to walk into the pop-up shop and buy ours.
Are you gonna
not worried about it.
have like some like wood with screws in it, or is
For
that
sure.
a little too scary? No?
Absolutely.
That's okay.
Well, yeah, of course.
I just didn't know if there's like, I don't know if working with tools is like would you have
Could
to
be
get
a lot.
some
They're
form of-
hand tools. I'm not worried about the liability.
Yeah,
it
okay.
could be fine.
I
If
don't know.
someone manages to like gouge their eye out with a screwdriver, like, you know what? I'll roll that die. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then what's great about that?
Oh, yeah, I was
is that
gonna
because
check
we're
what the
airshipping
requirements
those
were.
First 1,000 units, and we weren't gonna start the mass production of everything else until we've already
Although,
inspected them.
having
anyway.
mined a couple,
If you
apparently
run
that
the pop-up
counts,
shop
so I don't need
right
to worry
after
about
we
it.
finish inspection and packaging, then all of those people who buy it can leave a review. In fact, we will make it extremely convenient for them to leave a review with the full context of all the other products available on the market. Those reviews will go up on the site, and at that point, we open it up for back orders. Because now it's not a pre-order.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a limited release, but it's enough that we can get enough units out there that real people, verified purchasers, will be able to give their impressions. We will, as always, we don't censor reviews on lttstore.com.
So I always have to give this little caveat.
Yep.
Yes, we do but the only things that we pull out are highly inappropriate content that does never include a negative review.
Yeah, it's not if it's critical.
There's been people that have posted like,
No, don't give them.
yeah,
But we do remove stuff, but not because it's critical of the product.
Yeah.
Or our customer service or anything like that. We always leave that stuff up. We
Yeah.
do appreciate when people go back and edit their reviews if we do fix the problem after the fact.
Yeah,
By the
for
way,
sure.
just throwing that out there. But we won't take them down and we won't edit them ourselves. Actually, that might be a better way to proactively address that. Instead of replying to people and saying, hey, if you feel this issue is resolved, please
I
go
am
back and
a
change the
genius.
review. We could say, hey,
Never
here,
said
we feel
otherwise.
We've resolved this. If you're happy with this edit, we can do it for you because it just would reduce friction.
yeah, but then you're getting into editing other people's stuff
Only if they say okay.
actively. Yeah, but doing it at all gets questionable.
Yeah. It's just that if it's something like, it never arrived, and then we, like, send them another one, and it arrives. Like, can we just say, hey, can we update, can we add this to your thing? Edit, it has arrived
I'm
now?
not even 100% sure we can edit them.
Oh, really? Okay, well,
I don't, like, we
figure
might
that
be
out
able
later.
to. I have no idea. But
Nuck 1119 says, what if the verified purchasers noticed a common issue with the screwdrivers that was not caught during testing and manufacturing?
This is gonna be a long
If
day.
it happens, man, I really sound it. Yeah, if it happens, like, obviously, we're not going to release this thing till we're happy with it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
DK Strider asks, why not send one to Gamers Nexus to review? You say that as though we don't obviously have an
Hey, I can
influencer
then.
driver
Yeah.
in Gamers Nexus's
I hope you're having a nice time.
already sitting waiting to go once
I am.
we can put a finished ratchet in it.
Because I'm about to spend an hour doing
Come
this, so
on, guys.
yeah.
Are you kidding me?
dude, one step ahead.
Are you kidding me?
Can I do
step
my
ahead?
announcement now?
One step ahead. Do you know how many influencer drivers we have ready? We've got a pink one for iJustine.
You know,
Okay, we've got
someone in the chat mentioned that
I need a
can't
golden
actually just-
goblin,
yeah.
and it has like a 0.2 chance to spawn from mining.
All right,
Great.
Okay.
Do you think?
Okay. We're not firing. We're hiring 5 people. The postings are going to go up on linusmediagroup.com/jobs on Monday. 3 of them are positions that have already been announced on Landshow. I am looking for more applicants. If you have already applied to the back-end and front-end positions, you have probably received an email asking for your resume and stuff at this point. You do not need to reapply. Please do not reapply. But yeah, those postings are going to be going up on linusmediagroup.com/jobs. I'm going to be hiring 2 JavaScript-based back-end developers and 1 JavaScript-based front-end developer. I am also looking for just a very generalist junior dev. That position's going to have to be real generalist because I'm genuinely looking for someone who is going to be able to work in. I don't expect a vast amount of experience. I'm saying a junior dev, but has at least played with a little bit JavaScript and PHP. Usually I'm looking for one or the other, but this time it's both. That role is going to be working on a pretty wide range of things, including the inventory system that Linus Media Group uses, so some stuff for Creator Warehouse, the forum. Like it's going to be very wide ranging. And the other positions are a machine vision / machine learning position, 1 spot, and man, I'm forgetting one off the top of my head. Or is that it? 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought there was a 5th. Maybe
Yeah, why
that's
don't you
it.
spend all the money?
Anyways, yeah,
I mean, why even worry about it? Just
lots
spend.
of developers.
Just spend. I mean, we got a building to fill. Actually, that's probably worth talking
Wait,
about.
no, that's it actually. Yeah, 2 backends, 1 front end, machine learning.
Genton!
5
Yeah.
positions. If you're interested, please.
I'm in pain.
We're expanding.
I'll stop doing that.
Do you guys want
You
to
haven't
talk
noticed?
about Lab
I
2?
can't, it's a commission.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Lab 2.
And here, I thought you were gonna say it's because you fell off the bus.
I did.
Oh,
Yeah, that too.
I posted it in the internal chat,
okay,
and we tweeted about it this morning.
cool. Okay, sweet.
This, ladies and gentlemen, woo,
Dang! That's a real building.
it's Lab 2.
It looks
Lab 1 is officially
very
deprecated.
grown. Yeah.
We
Wow,
literally
that is a
have
nice
been-
building they bought.
We've got some other ideas for things that we might do with
Oh,
Lab 1.
oh, sorry. To be very clear, just in case I didn't say it, those postings for jobs are going up on Monday.
Okay.
Not now.
Yeah.
Monday.
So go look on Monday.
Yeah.
Lab 1, yeah, we've got some other ideas for what we might do with it. It's possible that it could end up being a space for lab equipment still that needs to be sound isolated from everything else. It's possible it could end up being more studio space. It's possible that we could move the business team over there. Got him.
Let's go.
I actually
Hey.
don't think the plan is to put the business team there. It's not actually that stupid now that I think about it, because they kind of need to work with everybody.
Honestly,
And so they
we've
could
sort of
just-
thought of like almost every team going
Yeah.
over there. at this
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. We had an executive power lunch today, sort of discussing what some of the different options are. So, Lab 1, we will
Executive
likely still
power
find a use
lunch,
for it.
that
It's
is a
also just
term.
possible that we will sell it, depending on how things go with Screwdriver and Backpack. Anywho, we reached...
One quick aside, because I've had
Yeah.
a bunch of questions about it. The machine learning / vision position is local. All the rest of those positions can potentially be remote, but it would be preferred if they're local, and
Yep.
it is highly preferred if, regardless if you're remote or not, you are Canadian.
Okay. Do you want to talk specs?
Of the
Lab 2?
yeah, sure.
Lab 2 is just shy of 20,000 square feet, so it will just about double our overall footprint, like as an entire organization.
Yeah.
Nearly double it. It will, right now, the only thing that is guaranteed to be there is the lab team. So if you missed last
So what's a
week's
Star
Wednesday,
Sentry?
it's going to be headed by Gary Key, formerly of
It's a enemy
and
that you have to
more
hit 10
recently,
times to kill.
formerly the
Okay.
director of marketing for ASUS North America. The guy's super technical, super driven, really excited to get back into media. You can't tell because he sounds like this, but he is.
He does seem pretty amped.
Yeah, he's like actually amped. I've known him for a long time. I've followed him for a long time. I have a ton of respect for Gary. He's going to be heading up the team there. We've actually got 3 of Gary's underlings already started. We've got additional bodies coming in. You're
I'm
gonna
like
see,
rocking already too.
Oh yeah, you're going to see more job postings coming up over the next little bit. We're going to see how much of this ends up filling up with lab, but I suspect it'll be a fair bit of it, and we're going to have to figure out how to shuffle the other people in the existing spaces, because man, I got some wacky ideas. Like we had a meeting with the labs guys earlier this week, and they're sitting there telling me, I mean, look, Linus, the way thermal chambers work is you've got to have this extremely broad range of temperatures, typically from -55 to whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. The point is, you typically want this range, and they need to be small so you can quickly turn them up and down to whatever you want. And I'm sitting here going, details, details, details. Okay, so they did their whole spiel, and I'm like, right, that's nice, but I want one that I can walk in so that I can shoot in it. And they're like, Linus, you don't need one of those because everything that happens inside the thermal chamber can be translated into a graph. And I'm like, no. I wish to walk inside a freaking walk-in deep freeze and talk about, show the people the battery drain of this phone sucking.
Way more interesting.
And so we compromised. We're building both.
Yeah.
We're gonna do small ones with oh man, our mobile testing guy. I'll tell you all about him once he's off probation. He just started on Tuesday. But our mobile testing guy is talking about a conveyor belt that freaking moves the devices between different chambers and crap, so it can automate the testing. Man,
Hell yeah.
this is gonna be
That's awesome.
really expensive.
Yeah.
Our power supply tester, I guess I can start to talk about that now. Our power supply tester was $120,000 US.
$120,000 for a power supply tester. God damn.
Sonic has. Well, just newer,
Okay.
because it's the latest.
That makes sense.
It's the latest model. Man, I'm jacked. We have this building, right? It's I think 23. It's 22 or 23 foot ceilings. So any inventory we needed to carry, we need a bunch of motherboards from different generations or whatever. We can palletize that, throw it up into the rafters. It's got 600 volts or 600 amps of 600 volt power, so we can run basically whatever we want over there and put some crypto miners in the ceiling with some fans for heating in the winter. I mean, probably that is not a very good way to heat the building in the winter.
Yeah.
I'm just relax, people. Relax, just relax. The point is, there's lots of power. There's about 4,500 square feet of office space, and that will either that could end up being office space. Luke wants an office. Luke, do you
No,
want
I
an
can't do
office?
range
Just
damage.
permanently remote. Or I can
Nope,
have an
you
office.
can't.
Would you like
It
an
has to
office?
be melee.
Yeah.
Do you want an office? Okay. We're gonna give Luke an office there.
That'd be cool.
The rest of it's up for grabs, so it'll
Oh,
either
damn.
be additional lab stuff. I could see,
They
say,
are
for
very
example,
strong.
the soundbar speaker
Yep.
testing room being inside the office area.
Nobody said
because
they
There's
weren't.
parking limitations and zoning limitations. We can't build out.
But
more
I only
rooms.
have to hit 10 of them. I don't
I
necessarily
think
have to
if they're,
kill
like,
any of them.
production rooms or like testing.
Yeah, you have to
rooms,
hit
testing
10.
enclosures, 'cause you can
Well,
build
you
paper.
have to. If you want to kill one, you
So
have to hit them
we
10
build,
times.
like,
10
Right,
times.
right.
long
But
as
for the
it's
thing, it
not
only
office
says I have to
space,
hit
'cause
10
it's not
times. I don't have
well,
to
it
kill
isn't
any.
office space.
Yeah,
Where
We
does
just
it
have to
say
make sure we
hit?
apply for it with the right
Star
code.
Sentry
So it's
Puncher,
possible that we
10%,
could
I
do a
did one
speaker
hit.
Or like a soundbar testing room
Hmm.
out in the warehouse area. But if we can't, then that might end up being in the office area just so that they can actually test stuff all day and not disturb anyone else.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff for us to figure out, but there's tons of power, tons of space. Hires are coming in. If it's not clear to you guys already, we are going through a period of just ridiculous growth
So
right
close.
now. Hopefully
One
you
hit
guys
till
are
he's
all
dead.
cool with that. And man, I gotta tell you, like, I'm excited. I'm excited. This is gonna be absolutely wild over the next like 6 months to 3 years. Because there is so much work to do. Labs needs its own website. There's gonna have to be multiple channels around the work that they're doing. You got to do behind the scenes, showing how we develop our testing procedures.
I think the filming in the lab, like I know the original like way back plan didn't even include filming in the lab.
No.
And
no.
now,
well, there wasn't space.
Yeah, but now like all
Got
the
it.
testing stuff is being thought out with this additional space.
Plus
for
10,000
filming
mining
and stuff, like-
experience.
Like
Or
the stuff
100,000.
that you're
Yep.
talking about, a thermal chamber that you can sit in. Like needing to go through the entire process of one of those tests would actually just be like hilariously interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Like that'd be really cool. It'd be very
100%.
engaging content.
100%.
So yeah, I think that's great.
I am jacked. Yeah, I'm really excited.
What does the silverfish thing even give me
man,
anyway?
is there anything else that I can really say?
Pets
about it?
have different
I guess
perks.
Not really.
Yeah, what does
Some
it give me?
give health, some
Uh,
give
the-
strength,
the
some
hires that
give
are in
mana.
already are sort of
Okay.
sending me
Yeah,
their
so
proposals
they
for what
basically
the
usually
performance are
boost
gonna
your
look like in
stats.
the lab. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what you guys have for questions.
Not high.
Just a reminder,
Hey, I
guys,
found your rock.
we do not monitor.
Yeah, this is fucking my
we
life for
monitor
the
super
past hour
chats
now.
over on
Where'd you get a
YouTube.
pickaxe that
The way to
fast?
send a message into
This
the
is literally
show
just
is,
efficiency
check out
5.
LTTstore.com.
fair enough.
We've got a promo running on the largest
Why
desk
here?
pads, the 1.2 meter by 7
Why? Cause this is the
millimeter ones where you can get
most stone I
a
can
free
mine in a
ad
short
hat with
period of
discount code
time, and
Dave
any of these can
desk
spawn a
pad.
golden goblin.
When we are live streaming, you guys can see in the cart, there's a place to leave a merch message. So if you guys have any questions,
Wanna know what is the
gold
gold goblin spawn rate?
Not high, I already killed one.
0.2 of a percent.
Already killed one.
Up down here, like Christian down there, Christian M.
Yeah.
What's our next topic for today? Oh wait, should we do a couple merch messages? We should probably do a couple merch messages.
I would like to say
Tommy
words.
W asks.
Why? Because you're annoyed that I have already killed him?
That's okay. I guess we're doing a different one.
Huh?
Yes, go ahead.
And with that, Tommy asks, Luke, if you were to quit, what gift would you give Linus? Because Aaron gave Linus a gift when he had quit.
Oh man, we've had an extremely long friendship at this point, and we have never been gift-giving people.
Yeah, Luke and I. both
Considering
gave
you
each other the
didn't
gift
have to
of
mine
no
through
obligation
literally
to share gifts.
everything
Which is a fantastic gift.
It's
in order to
actually a
get
great
that.
gift.
I'm super down.
I've mined for 6 hours today.
Ideas for you in that dock of mine.
Yep.
I'm gonna go look, so I'm gonna put pressure.
I've
on
yet to
you
see a single golden
I'm
goblin
awful, aren't
that I can actually damage.
By the way, if you want to get rid of all that cobblestone, I can take it off your hand.
You could just cheese it.
Yeah.
and
Oh, I
then
just
that will
compressed
probably
it all.
give you a good
Oh,
idea.
okay.
I don't think they would, because like
Gee.
you're not a very materialistic person.
Hello,
If you
cats to
really
the
wanted
win. How
something,
you
just
doing?
get it. So there's no like, I can't give you something like of value. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it would have to be something of sentiment. There's probably stuff that I just like have around that would be meaningful if I passed off.
You doing great? Well, that's excellent.
I do have a really cool gift idea in here for you. My one for Brandon is better.
I don't think I have anything. I don't think I have anything on the spot. I am certain I would be able to think of something. But I mean, it hasn't exactly crossed my mind. So
Should I just tell you, or should I just like finally do this and give it to you? I guess I could just tell you because then there's no obligation to. So I came up with the idea of surprising you at some point with a youngest Geek Squad member in history plaque or trophy. Just because I know that's one of your proudest achievements.
it's pretty cool, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say the one that I have for Brandon, but I'll show it to you because I think it's actually the funniest thing ever.
Oh man. Okay, that's actually fantastic.
We actually do need to get that for him.
yeah.
I so want to know.
It's constant. It's
Oh,
constant.
man.
Maybe we should
Yeah.
just do it. Okay, tell you what.
You should check
We're
out
gonna do
the
it. We're
Diana
gonna do it.
event,
We're gonna
which
get
is
it.
time
We're gonna
limited
get
and
our
makes
gift
a
for
really great
Brandon.
amount of coins with low
Is
requirements.
it PC?
Sure, I don't know where or how to
Okay.
find that.
You
So
may never see it acknowledged publicly.
yeah.
It's not the most PC thing ever.
It's good though. It's fun.
It's very Brandon. though.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's do a couple more, shall we?
Yeah.
So, from Dominic, I built my first PC about a week ago. Do you have any tips on the correct or best UPS for your PC, or any
Oh
recommendations?
my.
Wow, I mean, okay, step number one is making sure that you buy something with an adequate power delivery capacity. And I gotta say, maybe this is just me being a non-electrical, engineering nerd, but I actually hate that UPSs are rated in anything other than watts.
Yeah.
It drives me just crazy because at the end of the day, that's the only
Okay,
thing
fair enough.
that I care about.
As a
when
fellow pleb, it's pretty annoying.
Yeah, it's like why?
And, like every time I tell someone they should get a UPS, they're always like, "What is this? Why is it measured that way?" And I'm just like, "Oh man."
Yeah, for whatever reason, they feel the need to provide the capacity in volt amps.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, technically, it's not incorrect, but it's frustrating and it's confusing. So you've got a 600 volt amp APC back UPS. Oh my goodness. Anyway, the point is, okay, 330 watt. That's what I want to know because that's what everything that I'm going to connect to it is going to tell me its power consumption in. Now, it does. There is a reason they do it this way because it can help inform how long it might last on battery. I guess. Does it even? I can't remember.
do I care about all the
Once in a
titanium I
while,
have?
I will go through and I will just like relearn these conversions and why. it's like
Eventually,
this.
yeah.
Is that the battery capacity?
Someone
or
in
is
chat
it
said
the-
it might be an insurance thing. I personally did the research on this a really long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm talking a very long time ago, like many years. And I bought it on a hefty sale. I'm putting both of those caveats in front of it. But I personally have an APC 1500 volt amp, which I just looked it up on Amazon. The model literally hasn't changed at all in like the 6 or 7 years since I bought it. I've swapped the battery on it, and
I
it's
assume
gone
you're
through a
talking
lot
about
of
like over here
different,
somewhere.
like brownouts and power outages and stuff, and it's been
Jack.
great the whole time.
So people are saying yes, the correct conversion is
Located in the
power
house of the
factor
map
times
over here.
volt amps equals watts. So like there's a reason that they do it, but it would be a lot easier for plebs like me to understand which UPS if we can just kind of know what it is in watts, especially because power factor correction is so often 99% anyway. So unless you're in a real edge case, you're not going to need it rated this way. But anyway, basically what you need to know is two things. How much power the connected equipment that you want it to back up draws, and then how long you want that equipment to run. So that'll affect how beefy of a UPS you need, like how much power it can actually deliver off of its DC, because batteries are DC, off of its DC to AC, that would be an inverter then, off of its inverter, or inverters. I don't know much about the architecture of UPSs, maybe they have more than one, sorry. So you need to know that, and then you also need to know how big the batteries need to be. So that'll affect how long it will deliver that power when the AC power coming into it is cut. I would say as long as you go with a reputable brand like
So 30,000
APC
coins.
or do they does Eaton do consumer UPSs?
I don't think they did when I did my research like forever ago, but
Let's
good
see.
company.
Eaton does. Yep.
Nice.
So as long as you go with an APC
Oh,
or an
Jesus.
Eaton
Alright,
or
perfect.
something
That's
reputable,
done.
then it's
Now I no longer need to
pretty
do that.
hard to go
Amazing.
wrong.
When you're buying a device like this, I would actually highly recommend making sure that you get one that's reputable. That's sort of the whole point. So yeah. But yeah, I would highly recommend it. I've honestly had a lot of people. I've had some other creators that have reached out to me having
Oh
problems.
yeah,
with their
32
computers,
ingots. 32
and some
gold
other
ingots.
friends
That's fair
that have
enough.
reached out to me having problems with computers, and just trying to work through things on the phone, which is often annoying and difficult. But a lot of the times, I end up just getting them like one in particular. I was like, I feel like this is literally just your outlet.
Probably shouldn't have
I
sold
had them
those.
like move it somewhere else in their house and plug it in, and it was suddenly stable. And I was
Remember
like,
when
yeah,
we
just
did the
get a
collab
UPS.
with Austin? Where
Yeah.
we tried to overclock his super jank computer, and it was as simple as plugging it into a UPS, and all of a sudden it worked?
Yep.
I mean,
there used to be dirty power in the bench den.
I've been told so many times by
Oh,
people
yeah,
far
it's
more
this thing
knowledgeable
again.
than
Yeah, I
me that
remember
it
now.
shouldn't matter.
But it just absolutely does.
And yet, I cannot shake my lived experiences
Many of them.
that this computer was unstable, and then I plugged it into a UPS, and it was stable, and then I put it back directly into the wall, and then it was unstable.
Yeah. And you can like try it a bunch of times not on the UPS, and then try it a bunch of times on the UPS, and it will never work not on the UPS, and it will work every time on the UPS, and it's like,
So I just don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
And they're really nice to have because of power outages and brownouts and all that other type of stuff. So yeah, I think they're a very good idea as an investment.
Strongly recommended. Bella's going through a whack of incoming merch messages, so I'm just going to go ahead and read the next one. Is that cool, Bell?
Yeah, go ahead.
Wade asks, hey boys, what is the dream size
Cool.
and scope of LTX? Do you have plans for it to become as big as something like CES or Computex? We are not competing with CES and Computex.
No.
Our intention is not to become like an electronics show. I think that really it's more about community. LTX is, first and foremost, like we absolutely wanted to have manufacturers there showing off the coolest wares. But really the booths that we worked on were more about experiencing
Experiential, yeah.
really cool projects that we've worked on, learning to solder, learning to build a computer, getting a chance to come and connect with other technology enthusiasts, and most importantly, bringing in as many of your favorite technology influencers as we could possibly afford, so that they can all be in one place to do collabs, to do photo shoots and meet and greets with folks like you. That's the identity that we want for LTX.
75,000.
So-
Last
By the
time I did
time we finally
9,000,
get to do
so-
another one, the LAN will be bigger and better. So we want it to be just like gaming and technology enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah, this thing is really fun.
There's something that I thought was really cool, and I know there's some really positive sentiment around. Was there was some things that you could
Hey,
do
Kenton.
there,
Yeah?
that for
Are you right clicking
a
with your
lot of
shovel?
people
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
going to be
Although I don't have enough
feasible
mana.
Yeah, just
to do
even
not there.
experiencing VR.
The delidding of CPUs.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
that too. That was
There,
good
there
one.
was some like really cool stuff that like this might be for that individual the only real opportunity they have to actually do this without seriously risking like their entire investment in their computer or whatever else. Also, you're talking about seriously awesome creators that we brought out. We brought out a lot of Floatplane people that time as well, and Shank Mods has joined Floatplane.
Yep.
So check it out. His page is up. If you're left wanting by his extremely long gaps between YouTube uploads,
Yes.
there's more stuff on Floatplane. He has unique content on Floatplane. We talked for a little while about like content style
that's
on
neat.
Floatplane. He's planning on doing a lot of more easy to get out there content that might not. There we go. That might not necessarily match the content that goes on his YouTube channel. Like he just filmed some stuff at the show, and now it's on Floatplane. He also did a over an
Is it
hour
telling me
long
that the
director's
thing I need to find is on top of the
commentary
roof?
His, GameCube
Well,
Joy-Con
Kenton,
Yeah.
going over a lot
you're
of like,
looking
behind
for
the
these
scenes
kinds
and
of
stuff
things.
That's
that
super cool.
he wasn't able to
Yeah, and it's
necessarily
claiming that it's on the
include
roof.
in the video. I mean, he works on these things for
Yeah.
like 6 months, right? He works on them for a really long time.
Absolute
so there's a lot of
mad lad.
cool stuff that doesn't
The
necessarily.
higher
fit
the
in video, he also
notebook
bakes a lot
bridge,
of,
the
like, Easter
closer
eggs
you
and
are.
Stuff in, so I don't know. It's very cool. I would check it out.
Definitely worth it.
Yeah.
All right. What's our next topic, Luke? Hit me.
We've got some juicy ones. Let's talk about this one wheel thing, I think. No. This?
Yeah.
I think it's time.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Do you mind grabbing it while I walk through this? So our old friend Ivan, who worked here from 2017 to 2019 and who I actually worked with back in my NCIX days, has offered up his complete GPU collection for auction, with proceeds going to help civilians in the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. The Radeon 9700 Pro. Find it. That looks like it could be. Nope, that's too thick and heavy. Okay, Luke's gonna find it. The Radeon 9700 Pro in here was the first GPU he ever purchased with his own money, and Ivan's collection originally encompassed every single flagship GPU ever made by both ATI.
Oh yeah, sometimes you
and NVIDIA, starting from
mine
the
out a
in 1996 on the red side.
It said follow the arrows, but the arrow was pointing straight up.
Our Revo 128 from the green side. There's also the 3DFX Voodoo 5500.
Define straight up.
By that
it was
company,
pointed at the sky.
and this is the same collection that we actually showcased at LTX 2018. A few specimens were lost to time and attrition, but the rest were kept boxed up or on the display shelf. Special care was taken to ensure that the cards are reference design cards, and it should be noted that while all the cards were tested and were originally functional, we can't guarantee that they all work now. However, we can add... Oh, here it is. Thank you, Luke.
This collection, by the way, is just, like, legitimately legendary. I've known about this since the first time I've ever met him.
Yep.
This is absolutely...
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Love that. Love that heat spreader on the back. Of course it has the sticker. Of course it does. It's just a very Ivan thing for it to still have. The centerpiece of the collection is the fully functional, period-correct rebuild of the very first gaming system to have two graphics cards with a pair of Voodoo 2 12-megabyte cards in SLI.
Yeah,
it is
you did new right click again on the same thing. That's just a monster.
Oh no, never mind. I thought this was that. It is the same one.
There's steps to this. So
it's also still pointing straight up.
Here we go. Skipping ahead. Come on, can we show? There it is.
That's why I don't use the latest version of Minecraft.
Hold on. Okay, SLI. Okay, come on. There it is.
Because it tends to be really buggy.
Yep. I would, but it's too heavy for me. Yeah, there's a tower there. So if you were wanting to play very old games the way they were meant to be played, JK, that tagline didn't come along until after 3DFX got acquired by NVIDIA. If you want to play old games the way they were played back in the day, this is one of the last of its kind on the planet, and it's so legit, even its copy of Windows 98 is also legit.
I was going to open it up, but I'm going to leave it fully intact.
Luke and I are going to go through and sign every one of these GPUs so that you guys will know this is the authentic original Ivan collection, and we are donating all of the proceeds to SOS Children's Villages, Ukraine. SOS is an NGO that is dedicated to helping rural orphans and vulnerable children in general. The organization operates in 136 countries and territories around the planet, doing what they can to help kids and their families. As of this writing, SOS has helped over 5,000 people evacuate, relocate, receive psychosocial support, and survive. We appreciate any support that you can provide, even if you don't want the cards, and you can donate to SOS through the link in our video description. Luke, you and I have some graphics cards to sign. I get the feeling we're not going to get through all of these on stream.
I feel like maybe I didn't actually realize I should have. This is quite the task. Maybe we should try to sign these during the merch messages section at the end.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah, why don't we do that?
I'm happy we announced it now, though.
Yes.
Because it's sweet.
Let's go ahead and jump into our next topic.
Okay.
And before we do that, massive shout out, Ivan.
Yeah, super cool.
This is just extremely generous, and we're so excited to help you out with it, and hopefully just raise. You know what? Let's just say whatever the winning bid is. Once everything's confirmed and everything's paid, we're gonna go ahead and match it. So consider your bid a doubled up bid.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
I think we should jump into the one wheel topic. It's very long. We'll try to make it.
So I can then.
Long wheel.
Future.
If you get a Griffin feather, it's worth 59k.
Not bad.
I don't know.
For one.
Future Motion,
Not
the
bad at
company
all.
behind One Wheel, has been getting a lot of negative press for a couple months now, primarily over
So you
their
just keep
One-Wheel electric
doing the
skateboard.
digging
they
thing,
deserve
and
it.
you just
Sorry, go
get
ahead.
I think
basically
it's their main
cash.
product, and I do agree. There's been a few things going on. The high energy battery uses a very small connector that is prone to heating up. There's a large metal nut that is mounted on a plastic post that snaps very easily.
This nut.
I knew something was coming after I said large metal nut. The charging cable has the tendency
Okay,
to
this is
shear off
irritating. I
screen
keep
readers.
finding
Hold
them,
on,
but I
oh,
can't
I'm
actually
gonna-
make any
I gotta show-
progress.
oh, I gotta show these.
The
I gotta show
arrows
these
are all
on screen
broken.
while you're talking. Oh, that's a video.
Idea,
Hold
switch
on, hold
Minecraft
on.
versions.
Large
the newer-
Nard's Ledge Nut is also a video. Oh, good gravy. Okay, well these are all video timestamps.
Yeah,
from...
this topic's really long. I don't think we're gonna be able to bring them all.
Use
up.
Oh, good, it's
189.
Rossman. Okay, it's a friendly channel,
Oh,
so I can
hey,
just
let's
show this stuff.
go.
Okay, so this thing shears off. Oh, that's brilliant. All right, thanks, Rossman. Better to seek forgiveness than permission. Thank you for letting us use your footage. Love you, Lewis. Okay,
The
go
newer
ahead.
GT model has some problems with the early units being DOA.
What's
this
the
is
address
by
of the
far my
server?
favorite one. This is actually amazing.
mc.hypixel.net.
It has a problem that I call ghosting. It's very different than keyboard ghosting. This ghosting is where apparently it'll just take off on its own after you get off of it, and it can go like 20 miles an hour and it weighs 35 pounds. So you're sending this like
You're potentially turning someone into a ghost.
yeah, like it's actually potentially very rough.
Usually, like the latest versions of Minecraft tend to be
Future Motion
buggy on
has
Hypixel.
only one single service center in California, and they have one of the most fantastic claims from a clearly extremely profit-focused
my
company
frame
that
rate.
I've ever seen, which Future Motion's CEO claims that repairs are not a profit center for them and are quite expensive. Still, they're looking to expand their regional repair options.
Wait, hold on a second. This is an actual. This is one of those things like.
It's another YouTube video, so I'm like,
This is like artesian builds, getting on camera and making the problem worse. You know?
yeah.
Repair. Really?
Unless you're a company.
What? Stop. No, you need to stop. For the second time this show, you just need to stop, Luke, because I think this is a fair criticism, okay, of the repairing your stuff that was broken industry.
Yep.
Okay? It is not profitable to sell something that breaks and to have to fix it.
What's the
So-
Best Buy service plan called? I don't remember. If you don't buy that,
How far will the second bit
You
be?
gotta
And also,
pay
have I gone
up.
right
Yeah,
past
you should
it?
just be screwed.
yeah,
Yeah, consumers should just know that our stuff is just gonna break.
it's gotta be a.
That's not profitable
more
for us to
profit.
fix.
Yeah.
Can't you please think of the billionaire business owners?
It's usually on a grass block.
Someone please think of the
Just keep
shareholders.
right-clicking on your fucking shovel. It's
Well, that just leads me to another
Problem
new
right now
spot,
because
not the
Future
same
Motion's
spot that I already
FedEx
had.
account was embargoed
Which,
due to
you know, the
not
arrow
declaring
points
hazardous
somewhere.
materials on
it
shipping.
points into a new point.
They allegedly told customers to black out the dangerous goods markings on return boxes because they didn't declare them. Many to service it themselves. Some of these actually sound self-fixable, and you'd think that Future Motion would be down for that. You know, repairs aren't profitable, and they might have to build another repair center. But that's a no, I believe. I lost my spot. But yeah, but you'd think they would be down for this considering the cost, like I just kind of mentioned, except unplugging the battery just, you know, bricks the board. Very cool.
Because you.
And it just tells you to contact support. Future Motion says modifying the battery circuit in any way is a risk for damage or injury because it's calibrated at the factory for each one wheel. It has apparently with high power Lions, things can get very bad very quickly. Fair enough.
Holy shit, that's far.
Future Motion has seen a lot of, in quotes, seen a lot of incidents of battery fires that have been caused by third-party mods. Honestly, listening to the issues that your first-party creations have, maybe that's not actually that big of a deal.
Yeah, is there an actual increase in fires and problems, or is it just?
Or you just seen a couple videos. All of this would be bad enough, but Future Motion also Future Motion also sued JW Batteries, a company that makes replacement batteries, on copyright grounds. They say that the battery lockout.
Copyright grounds? Sorry, we copyrighted our battery?
They
Go
say
ahead.
that the,
No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish.
They said that the battery lockout is DRM, which is notionally protected by the DMCA. Oh, this is cool. Leonard French goes into why it probably isn't in a video that he has. That's another Floatplane creator. If you're interested, maybe check him out on Floatplane. Leonard French is fantastic. Actually, really cool content. Yeah, really, really rough. Apparently today the suit was dismissed, but not on the merits, rather on jurisdiction, which is
That's just typical legal things.
to me.
So, we don't know whether Future Motion will continue to be the case.
But don't buy a one wheel.
Yeah, basically, because if your whole thing is going to be safety, fine. Then create documentation, work with third parties, or at the very least, have as part of your EULA that you're not responsible for any, changes made by a third party. Fine, cover your butt.
The battery sounds like it could be potentially spooky, but you can always work with like verifying certain repair centers or
Well,
something
you know
like
what's a lot more dangerous?
And then,
Yeah.
Right? You know what's a lot
Have you figured
more
it out?
dangerous?
Well, I've just been
than
following them
someone
and
than an end user
killing things as
unplugging
they
the
spawn
battery to
repeatedly.
make a change to the
yeah,
board.
but after you kill them,
An
you
end
have
user
to
being afraid
take
to
this
unplug their battery 'cause
one
it's
that
gonna break
spawned
their
at.
one wheel and trying to
Yeah,
make
I
some
hit it
kind of
again,
change
and
while
then
the
it
battery's
spawns an
still
arrow, and then I
plugged in.
follow the arrow.
Like, are you
Yes.
really creating a more safe situation?
But-
It usually has like 4
shipping
steps.
hazardous materials with the logos blacked out, or having a
But what?
That matters a lot.
Still trying to figure it out.
35-pound board traveling 20 miles per hour.
It's
with
one
no
of
controlling
it's
it.
Shippers
quite
need
easy.
to know when there are lithium batteries in a container.
Yeah.
Like, that matters a lot.
Yep. Yeah, this is brutal. Really not cool. Don't buy a one wheel.
Yeah, I think it's that simple. And honestly, I'll say right now, like, we don't hate brands.
No.
We don't hate companies.
I'm just
As-
certain there's another one of these types of vehicular devices.
The
that you could get,
second,
that'd be great.
the second that one wheel reverses their course and embraces right to repair and makes it simpler for users to get the product they freaking paid for, in this case, we will happily issue a retraction of our do not buy a one wheel statement.
Yeah, sure.
Happily.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Totally down.
Is one wheel ready?
Hopefully.
I hope so.
I doubt it.
Man, it's so funny. Like, people give us such a hard time about, like, oh, you guys hate Apple. It's like, no. I use their products. I acknowledge when they do something good. It just happens to be that Apple is a spectacularly anti-consumer company.
I have
And
suggested
for-
their products to people before.
Whatever reason, people won't see it. They can't see it. I mean,
Yeah, then
it's
how
just-
much do
it's
you have
nothing.
cash?
Like,
$5
and it
grand
feels
on
like
me.
such a stupid thing to complain
Why?
about.
In your
especially
bank?
after so
Oh,
long.
I think I've got around
Why
200,000-ish.
things? Why would we get over
Huh.
it?
Maybe
That you
like
can't
take some of that
reposition
out and
on-screen icons wherever you wish.
Why
That's
reforge
honestly
all
one
your
of my
armor.
biggest friction points, and it sounds silly, but that's one of my biggest friction
Wise
points.
armor, so you have more
is
mana.
I really like a very clean home
I
screen,
could,
and then
yeah.
I hide my stuff elsewhere. I don't necessarily know why. I've just always done it.
That
And
was the end
there's
of that,
always
so you
something
have now
there.
get
I know,
another
I
one.
know.
Quite
I'm
a
going to
clusterfuck.
try and get another
And
one.
you
I
can
just have
make-
to wait
they-
for it
they
to
have
actually
folders now and
recharge.
stuff like that.
I still doesn't fix it.
Yeah.
But the fact that you cannot
Might
make
I
a must
suggest you that you
populate each
Yeah.
screen,
get
left
wise
to right,
armor?
top to bottom,
Hate it. Hate it. Hate it so much.
and it's just stop. You clearly you can do it. You just won't, and it's just one of those things where it's just the only possible reason that I can imagine is it's some like cappuccino sipping executive being like, well, see, the difference between iOS and macOS is that this is mobile first, and this is this, and then mobile we something like it's got to be some because there's no objective proper reason that you shouldn't be able to put an icon wherever the hell you want to. So whatever it is has to be astonishingly stupid.
Yeah, probably.
Or they just hate their users. Those are the only two possible outcomes. Either they're evil or they're stupid. Because it's so simple to fix.
Yeah, like, do I even have it on me? Let's see.
As your Sky says, I have small hands, so I keep icons on the bottom. Apple says no. And it's funny. That is exactly my sitch here. I do not like having apps in the top. I have my widgets there, I have my search bar, and everything I need to access is populated. So my Gmail is my primary. Everything I need to access starts on the bottom left and goes out toward the top right. And even someone with larger hands apparently feels the exact same way about it.
It's just easier.
It's just
Why would you make it more complicated?
objectively better.
Yeah, and these are like, this is Play Store, which I actually check a lot. Maps and Floatplane, and then like, you know.
And the most baffling part of it to me is that I even need to say it. Like nobody. They have literally tens of thousands of employees. Nobody at Apple was like, "This is annoying," and fixed it.
Or they haven't been loud enough or listened to enough for it to actually happen.
I've been using my iPhone more lately because YouTube still doesn't support stories on the Fold. It's amazing. Also, this is hilarious. This is a really good one. Okay, the communities posts feature. It's so tedious to create content. The communities feature. Okay, so if I click this, I can create a community post. I can add media and a poll and blah blah blah. Can't see it. Wait, is it fixed? Holy crap, it's fixed. Literally days ago, it was like, this feature is not supported on this device.
Nice. There you go.
You know what? I think it actually. I rebooted recently. I think it matters which mode I first opened the app in since I restarted. Yeah, here we go. So if I unfold,
Oh my goodness.
community posts aren't currently available on this device. And then if I go back to the front screen,
So it's gonna get tricked and thinks it's a different device.
hold on, let me nuke the YouTube app. It's just shockingly stupid. To be clear, I hate stupidity in all of its forms, okay? It's not specific to Apple. They just it's the unnecessariness of how dumb it is. No, it does seem to be working in front screen
I'm
mode.
getting a little bit worried about your hard out, but I do have a question about this.
Yeah.
Do you think development for those types of devices is going to get better due to increased adoption, or do you think it's going to get worse? Because as far as I can tell, interest in folding devices is not going up.
I think
I
it's
could be wrong.
I think it's gonna languish. I think it's gonna stay kind of where it is. So anyway, I've been using my iPhone more lately, and I you know how you can drag down the control center, or command center, or whatever it's called, and then you can finally long press on like the Bluetooth icon. Okay, well, sort of. If you long press on the Bluetooth icon, it still opens it up, and then you have to do it again. So you can long press it. It actually cycles through the multiple menus that you would have to navigate to. It'll be like, settings.
I just died to a Siamese links.
Yeah, because you have to hit them. Because they have two, right?
They have two what?
To opening a freaking menu.
There's two cats. You have to
there
hit
wasn't.
them
There's only one.
alternate.
Xbox
No,
says you
Siamese
can remove
links,
apps from the home
there's
screen
two
on
of them.
iOS now. It goes to the Apple library. That's fine, but that's
Well,
not what
only
people
one
are
rendered
talking about.
then.
I know that. It's just really stupid that I can't put the icons for them wherever I want to. All right, is there anything else that we promised we were going to talk about at the beginning, or should we just go into some merch messages here?
I think we mentioned the India VPN thing.
I don't think we did.
No?
Well, we can do it really quickly. The Indian government has directed VPN and cloud service providers to collect and hold user data for 5 years or more, including validated customer names, physical addresses, email addresses, and phone numbers. Basically, they're saying this is intended to close certain gaps that hinder its response to cyber incidents and interactions with the constituency. Basically, goodbye individual privacy, as far as I can tell.
There at the very least, yeah.
Yeah. Man, that is it's like chilling. To be clear,
Maybe look into, I mean, you guys have a video 2 years ago, do-it-yourself VPNs?
yeah, yes. DIY VPN should still be workable. And to be clear, a VPN is not some kind of magic
No.
silver bullet to
Not at all.
to ensure your online privacy, but it is a tool in the toolkit.
Yep.
It can be useful for certain things, and not being able to, or not, it's not that you won't be able to access them. You may still be able to access VPNs outside of India. Depends on who does or doesn't comply. It's gonna be real interesting. not being able to access them at all is has the potential to be very bad for personal privacy. And it's not just VPNs. It's also that cloud service providers are required to hold all of this. So let's say I was Google, for example, operating. If I were to put anything I know that by law, I mean, Google probably is keeping it anyway, but I know that by law, they're definitely keeping and will definitely
good,
be
the other
required
side
to
of the
provide
mountain.
to the government anything that I entered in that doc. That is chilling.
Epic. Very cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's honestly all the topics.
Should we do some merch
I
messages?
think we should slam merch messages.
Okay.
And start signing some.
Yeah,
cards.
sign some GPUs, boys. Do you want to?
And then?
You know what? Okay.
Want me to feed the GPUs?
Yeah.
does the
Bell,
question.
Should I
give me
repeat
questions.
myself?
Luke, sign GPUs and then pass them to me. Do we have multiple Sharpies?
I think there was another one in there, and I think it
For
fell
what?
in-
I got it. They are brown, not gold.
3,
This is really not the same
Forge
as a gold Sharpie. There is
your
a gold or silver one in my office.
fucking
Is there anyone still here
armor.
to go obtain it for us? Bell, do you mind grabbing it and then I'll read them?
Of course.
I'll
I'm
do
so
it
sorry.
after.
Okay.
Yes,
He
sir.
likes to read the curated messages, but I guess
He does a good job.
does
Then
a great
it'll
job of
take
it.
you
By the way,
extra long to
are
do
we allowed
that,
to
you
shout
know?
out the same video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
okay,
you have
go for it.
109
so I've done a
mana.
lot of
Yep.
Fortnite shoutouts this show, but LTT's been kind of killing it with exclusive lately. And recently there was one of Bell driving
So,
really far to get a beautiful CRT.
Every
monitor.
time you use
And
your
it's
shovel, you have to
actually
wait for like
fantastic. I actually
30
watched the
seconds for
entire
it to
thing,
recharge.
which I like rarely do.
The
with content
audience
these
has
days.
spoken. They love these exclusives.
Dude, it's so good. It's a really cool video. I enjoyed it a lot. I like this type of stuff. There's been a lot of this lately. Exclusives for LTT, which is very like engaging with the team that's behind the scenes a little bit more.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just really cool stuff.
Oh, where was that? There was another recent excellent behind the scenes. Where is it? I thought it was like 6 days ago. I mean,
That's a
time
lot of content.
keeps on slipping. Yeah, Artie is absolutely crushing it. He's our social media
Yeah, this was
coordinator.
cool too. Yeah.
I wasn't intending to make a video. In fact, I specifically told him not to work, but he did make a video of us just like doing a work fun day. Isn't that amazing? This lot of like how many freaking
Griffin
people
Feather.
work here.
I think. Yeah.
We got a school bus.
The fact that we filled that bus.
All right.
refilled
Let's
it.
see about doing that thing then now.
We did.
The reforged thing.
We filled it from the front and we filled it from the back.
Kind of a beautiful place in Bell provided. Man, the fact that he inserted these random little facts about like every single place he stopped. I don't know. It's a
Yeah, Bell's
fantastic video.
hilarious.
Very funny.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. Those are exclusives over there. Am I supposed to be doing merch messages? Yeah, here we go.
I can pick him up if you want.
No, I got this. Thomas says, prepayment for backpack and screwdriver complete. Oh, okay. $250 worth of gift. Oh, well, a bunch more gift cards. Love LMG and everything you guys are trying to do. Question for Linus and Luke. How much do you plan to grow your companies by year's end? Float plane. Man, you guys are going to double. Easy.
So yeah, it depends on kind of how you crumble that cookie, but yeah, the people that I have oversight on, that number is literally just doubling.
Right. And they don't necessarily work for Floatplane because Luke is the only person on staff who's really qualified to supervise developers. Like, I just wouldn't know. Like, it is amazing, as far as I can tell, how many companies just... Luke sent me this hilarious Discord message. Should I just read it?
There's been a bunch of these. Essentially, the idea behind it is there's some people that are doing work from home situations where they're applying for like a bunch of jobs at like FANG level companies, getting hundreds of thousands of dollars of salaries based on their various really high-end credentials, and then working multiple of those jobs at the same time and just raking in like insane year-end compensation.
Yeah, Luke sends me this post that's like, working at 2 tech jobs, ... Any problem? ? I took on 2 full-time jobs and both are work from home 100%. I use 2 different laptops and I don't use one for the other work. Is there any problem? My roles are Facebook at E5 position and Microsoft at Principal SDE position, L65. TC, total compensation, at Facebook, $410,000. TC at Microsoft, $320,000. I reckon this is the fastest way I can hit financial independence, retire early, FIRE, with $700,000+ of annual income, and also I don't need to work extra hard. At Microsoft, I work no more than 10 hours a week. At Meta, I need to put 40 to 45 hours a week, so total is 50 to 55 hours a week. I've been doing it for 4 months now, and no problems so far. Any problem? Okay, well, let's see. Other than breach of contract and fraud, at least one of which is definitely a crime.
You know where to do
no
reforging, right?
problems.
Yeah, I'm just
Seems
debating
like
what
we've got
armor
this
to do
totally
with.
actually, I found another problem.
Your main
Once you order
armor.
online, you
I got 2 sets of
idiot.
armor,
Well,
one
I
for
think
mining,
it was
one for
pretty
other
obfuscated,
things.
Whatever your main
Sort of,
armor
the
is.
positions are there. People did point out that the positions are there.
And if Meta and Microsoft decide to hire, like, it's not like when you apply for a job, you don't provide your freaking social security number. Like, this is actually something that they can probably figure out if it comes to it.
I don't think they'd be able to share that.
Legally, no.
Yeah, fair enough.
But stuff happens.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll do it
Anyway,
with
so
my
Luke
full
is the
set of
only
diamond
person on
miner
staff
armor, I guess.
that actually has any experience managing a development team and knowing, like, I could check in and say, oh, you know, hey, what's your progress? And they'd be like, oh yeah, made lots of progress. And for all I know, they spent like 3 hours on it. So Luke is going to end up overseeing pretty much all actual
Man,
developers
so
for the lab.
actually,
We're gonna
who
need
do I?
multiple
Is it
developers.
the
We're gonna
blacksmith
have
I talked to
front
for
end and back end for the
reforging?
web.
It
We're
is.
gonna have,
Yes.
as you heard, machine learning and machine
It'll
vision
cost you
developers for some
money,
of the
though,
things we'll be
so-
building.
That's fine.
There's gonna be a full-fledged development team at the lab, and
People working on automation.
as far as I can tell, Luke's not working that hard as it is anyway. Because
Yeah.
I don't know how to evaluate how hard, you know, developer people are working. So
And
I
you
just
want
assume it's
wise.
Not that
That's
hard,
what
and
you want
throw
on
more
it.
at them apparently.
We've been getting more efficient and better at how we've managed the people. at
So
Flowplane
how
currently.
do I
So,
like?
and
Do I just
it's
give them to
been
him and
kinda
hope?
getting to the
that
point
how
where
that works?
I've wanted a team
Yeah,
expansion.
you reforge
I've
it
wanted
multiple
more-
times. That's
I
why
don't
it
remember how to
costs
describe
money.
Linus, but essentially, I've wanted to be able to like throw more.
Because if
weight
you don't
into
get
it
wise,
and, like, have,
you just
have more
free-
people on the
you
staff
just
to
go
tackle
again.
more things and tackle
Do.
more things more
Okay.
better. For example, the inventory system that we built, that was really cool. I want to do more stuff like that, but we're already fairly short-staffed at Flowplane as is, so expanding that.
Actually,
is
no, that's an
difficult,
awful
so bringing
choice. I'm
more people
down
on the team is allowing
132
us to
health.
expand.
Z-Biggie and Twitch, this is typical Twitch. Not really fraud. If the
Yeah,
company
that's
is
why
happy with
what
their
I
work
do
for the
is, if you
compensation.
look at my live feed,
No, it's
right.
definitely still fraud. You're welcome.
467
That
with
is,
this set.
I'm not a lawyer.
I'm
but
getting
is
this
legal
set.
advice.
Mercenary stuff.
yeah, and then I'm betting it wise, so it has intelligence boost, and then I'm putting growth 5 on it.
No problem.
He's not wrong.
My current health is 664.
As for
And mana
as
is
for
420.
LMG, man, that is. Oh right, yes. Right. Okay, so you want to sign them, then hand them to me?
Yeah, is there like a?
Problem
there
is,
a-
this
another
goblin stuff
bucket?
has -1
Do we have a
intelligence.
second bucket?
Well, yeah, that's
You're
the problem.
amazing.
That's why I don't use the
is there a
goblin stuff.
consistent place you
So
wanna kinda-
basically,
I
I
think we're
should
going
get my
ham
hands
dog.
on the mercenary set that
Alright.
like you
Yeah,
have.
I
This is,
recommend it's
you know, brown, I'm
investment
gold.
though. The chest plate alone is
Okay,
like
he's our
80k.
brown baby boy.
I mean, I can
It's a,
handle that.
it's a poo joke.
I'm gonna take the one.
Yeah.
That's from like South Park season
No, I'm
1,
not
I
gonna
think.
cover
First
that.
time I heard that. Luke, you're gonna have to be a little you're gonna have to be a little more aggro here. All right, I'm going for yeah.
And I'm not
you're gonna
even
take
done
all the best
enchanting
spots
all of
so I
this.
can see how this is gonna go down.
Oh, we're probably gonna wanna like
Um,
you're gonna wanna take this.
I'm gonna have to beg them. Boy,
Yeah.
this is gonna get real interesting.
We also need to do sponsors.
Holy crap, we need to do sponsors.
Thank you, Flowplane
And
Chat.
this
Crimson
is why
There's a
this is
reason-
taking up 3 hours long.
Yeah, there's a reason why I don't buy chest
Man, you guys
buy
are just too
armor
much
from
fun to hang
AH,
out with.
'cause
What can I
there's just
say?
no
Okay,
to that.
sponsors. Who the crap are the sponsors today? Ah, yes, Squarespace. You control that now, right?
Sure.
Okay, cool. If you're looking at creating or
'Cause
sharing
all
your
it
own
does
content
is
online, give Squarespace
makes a
try.
giant dent
Squarespace
in your
is the
wallet, and
all-in-one
that's about
platform
it.
for building a top-tier website
Sure, you get some
and
cool
growing
armor,
your
but
brand.
that's
you can
about
upload
it.
or embed your video library. I missed a U in my name there. And organize it in one of Squarespace's best-in-class templates to explore the new ways you can monetize your work. You can both display your social media posts
Plus 15
and
health,
push
plus
website
20
content onto your
defense.
channels. Plus, with
Each of
member
them grants
areas,
an
you
extra
can unlock
15
a
health,
whole new revenue
and they
stream
can be
for your videos
reforged.
by allowing you to post exclusive
Yes.
content behind either a
All of my
subscription
stuff gives,
or a
like,
one-time
without-
fee. And Squarespace's
This
analytics
gives, like, plus
and insights
30
ensure
health,
that you're
I believe.
optimizing your website every step of the
Have
way.
to
Head
check,
to
though.
squarespace.com
What was the
/brand
set that you have,
to
you
get
said?
10% off.
I'm
today.
running the mercenaries.
The show is also brought to you by Wealthfront. Wealthfront is the automated investment platform that builds a portfolio based on your risk tolerance to help you grow your money long term. If you put off investing because it took a ton of time and research, the great news is that Wealthfront makes it so it does not have to. All you need is a few minutes and $500 to get started opening an account. You can set it up, answer some questions, and let Wealthfront take care of the rest, like using Spotify for its personalized playlists that are built to your tastes. You can also build your own portfolio if you prefer, with hundreds of investment options across tech, healthcare, real estate, and more. Their tax loss harvesting software looks for opportunities daily to help lower your tax bill, and in turn,
And you know there's an NPC that just outright sells you that stuff, right?
over time, each one hand-selected and
Where?
vetted by their experts. You can explore all these
Next to
investments right on their
Blacksmith.
website, so whatever your goals are, Wealthfront gives you the tools to build your portfolio, and you can get your first $5,000 managed for free at wealthfront.com/when. This is a lot of cards to sign. This is an enormous
This is quite a few.
GPU
Talking about
collection.
Dusk?
Is the link to where people can bid on it in the video description?
Sure is.
Okay, that's really cool.
Next to
Finally, this is brought to you
blacksmiths,
by
there's
Monster?
third, and there's a third NPC next to the those guys, the two whatchamacallit, the two merchants.
Pulseways
There's
are
one
the
extra
I see
merchant.
Dusk, a
platform helps
blacksmith,
centrally
and
control
a
your
smith.
On the other side.
and network devices. They've got mobile-first functionality with their app, so you get an intuitive
Starter
and easy
gear?
experience wherever you might be.
Blacksmith,
So
I'm
our
about to
network
Vine
punch.
merchant.
I'm about to
gaming with
punch
your
my
friends,
monitor.
No problem. By the way, lucky you having friends.
To
If
the
you're in
left,
shower,
the last
Pulseway
guy.
still has you covered. Whether you need to run a script, remotely connect to a system,
That's-
reset a
okay,
password,
that's
build an
starter
automation
gear.
workflow, it's all good.
Yeah,
And you can
have you
accomplish
looked
all
at what
that and
she
more
sells?
with a simple voice command. Wow, compact part number.
She sells the
Creative
dish
Labs
set.
Oh,
CT
mercenary
6970.
armor.
There was a 6970 before the
It's
Radeon
literally
6970.
cheaper
I
on
don't
the
know what that is.
on the market.
This next one is very legendary.
Oh, what's the next one?
Rage.
Ooh,
128 Pro.
Rage 128 Pro. Absolutely.
Then go
love it.
spend your
Let's do a few more
precious
merch
coins
messages
on
while
the
we continue
fucking
to sign some
market.
stuff. Oh, right. How much do we plan to grow LMG before year's end? Well, it depends who you ask.
A lot.
Well, it depends who you ask. Some senior managers want to kind of, take it a little bit more chillax. But
But it's just happening.
the ones who are in charge of hiring don't seem to be on the same page. So I think right now LMG has a total of 8.
Alright, so I
job
need
postings,
boots, and I have to go buy the
and
leggings
that's
from
just
that guy
the
over
ones
there.
that are up right now.
And the
What is
boots
it?
are not worth buying here.
LMSPGroup.com/jobs
Yeah, there's
Boots
4
and
more
leggings
being
in this
added
guy.
on Monday.
on Monday.
All developer positions.
All right, so we are hiring a full-time writer for MAC address, full-time social media coordinator. I think we have a really good candidate for this one already. Full-time executive assistant. If that first one works out, I think we're taking 2. Full-time marketing coordinator, full-time account lead for the business team, and that's just LMG. Creator Warehouse is hiring a full-time tool designer, manufacturing engineer, full-time CSR, full-time fit technician. I think we might need more than one of those. We are hiring. We got a lot of stuff to do, We
How do
got
I know
stuff
when
to
it's
build.
got the thing?
It'll say wise on it.
We got mountains to climb.
Ah, there I got it.
It requires this basic human skill called reading.
Marks are going to affect the functionality of these GPUs. Hey Belle, do you want to do a quick search for me? Does gold pen conduct electricity? In which case, maybe I'll start signing the tops of chips and stuff. And
I just kind of YOLO'd on that one.
yeah. Good luck, everybody. I mean, they might have worked at some point.
It should not. They should be
not,
non-competitive.
apparently.
That
How
cost me a
wonderful.
lot of money.
All right. Hit me with some more curated
Yep,
merch
I
messages.
didn't say it was cheap.
From George, loved the Game Gear video. Are there any other consoles that you would love to mod? or
408
transplant
mana.
in the future?
Oh man.
495 if I'm holding my sword.
I would absolutely love
Yep,
to have
that's
a better
why you
SNES.
want to
Those
have
were my only
wise.
childhood consoles. I had a SNES and then a Game Gear before.
Alright,
I
let's
moved
go
from
abuse
my
the
dad's house to my
the
mom's
Obsidian
house,
market to make my money
where
back.
Console gaming was not a thing. So, having a super cool SNES with a VGA output or something like that, like an ultimate tier SNES, I think would be super cool. But, really for me, I just think these kinds
In
of
118.1,
seeing
it just
before and after
it
these
just gives me a
mods,
flat number for this.
even if
In
there's no nostalgia factor for
189,
me,
it
I
tell-
just-
I have an option for
I
fill my
love
inventory
technology.
instead.
I love I love things
Yep.
getting better. I love how affordable the whole thing is. Like, yeah, $60, $80. That's a lot of money. But please, when you compare that to what it might cost to engineer yourself a solution to these problems and implement it, it is downright a bargain, okay? And I think that's super cool. I love that the cost is coming down. I love that there's these amazing communities
Oh, it's
that
because
are
I clicked
being
the wrong
built up
button. That'll do
around
it.
retro console modding and just
Mm.
modding. I love improving things, you know? So you'll see more of that from us at some point, but I don't know exactly what. The reception to that video
What
was
was the
very
price
good,
range?
but the views were not super strong. So it's something that we're going to continue
16.1
to
to
explore because
15.1.
we're
So I'm
passionate
gonna
about
buy
it,
at
but not something that we're
15.2
gonna,
and sell
like,
at 16.
quadruple down on because it's performing really well from a business standpoint, if that makes sense.
From Saxon, any updates with the new house and the painting?
They're doing a great job. I mean, they're putting what I asked for to be on the wall now, so that's good. What
That's
the heck is a
huge.
Viper V770?
I wasn't sure on that one either.
From Diamond. Okay. Yeah, remember Diamond being a board partner? That's crazy. All right.
From Charles, other than just straight experience and resume, what do you look for in people that you're interviewing?
One of the big things for us, and I know this is like a stereotypical evil capitalist thing, but we hire people based on how much they want to be here. It's one of the reasons that we do not list compensation in our job postings typically, because the first thing we want is people who want to build something
There we go.
amazing, who want to create amazing content, and after that, well, we'll figure out the credentials.
And that'll make my
We'll
money
figure
back.
out the training. We'll figure out. We'll
Well,
figure out
some
the
of it anyway.
compensation. The first thing we need is people who really want to be here. Good attitude. You know, caring about the community. People who are already actively engaged in the community. I won't say you have an advantage, but it sure ain't a disadvantage.
I really like portfolios. I agree with everything that Linus just said, and I really like portfolios. I know
Oh.
it's not applicable for every position. There's a lot of people that, especially like back-end developers and stuff, they're like, yeah, I can't exactly show you. I've been working at a company that doesn't have like public code repositories for a long time. It's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. If you don't have work experience and you can show me a really cool portfolio, it's very likely you'll get an interview. So I'm very into that.
Yeah, for writers, one of the things we love to ask them during the interview process is, okay, you know, application aside, tell me a crazy cool side project you're working on right now. And if they don't have one, I can tell you right now, it's a big strike. Because if you're not actually passionate enough to do it on your own time, then how do we know you're going to bring that energy to work? Do you care about this or not? And to be clear, it's not because we expect you to do unpaid work on your own time. We just expect you to love it enough that you would do it for fun. Then we'll pay. This is a pretty sound card.
In there.
Well, whatever. Now it's sound.
I left you the white stick on this one because this one's genuinely tough.
Oh, wow. No, that's okay. I can sign chips. White sticker. No, it's fine. It's fine. I got this.
All right.
From Josiah, how's solar working out for you so far?
With just the construction crew, I think we're at about 50% independence. So once we actually move in, yeah, it's going to be a lot lower, but still, we knew going into it that we're not in a super solar-friendly region. We don't get a ton of sun compared to, say, California or something like that. But I'm happy. Like, we got a good price on the panels, so yeah, it's great.
There's some people asking what kind of side projects you think people should be doing, or like what the scale of that would be.
I mean, oh man,
We're getting a little fish here.
it depends on the position that you're applying for. I mean, I know when, Anthony just walked up. So one of the ways that Anthony really impressed me when he applied was he told me about his retro console collection and how he repairs consoles as like a side gig. Do I have that right? It was a side hustle, or was it your full-time thing?
Try and make it into a full-time thing, but it was a side thing.
Okay, side hustle at the time, and I was like, well, that's the cool ever. So
Still has mine.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll admit this is easier,
Okay, he's
even though it took literally half my money.
okay. There's been some.
Yep.
Okay, there's some.
Wait.
There's some.
I mean,
quiet,
reforging always
quiet
costs
dispute
money,
going on for
Jesus.
Anthony's,
I mean, I didn't exactly compensate him.
console repair
It is just
business.
something you have to do
Anyway,
in
the
this.
point is that impressed the heck out of me. Sorry, Anthony, are you here for a reason? Do you need a mic?
There's because otherwise you have to like
Oh, okay, on the
grind.
side
Because
one's
wanna
right
know
here.
what
We're just about done. We
what
got
most
three or four
ranks
more.
give you when you
I'm
like
trying to
level
think,
them up,
yeah,
right?
When Kyle
They give
applied,
you
Hypixel,
+1
our,
intelligence.
I guess like head of engineering at Creator Warehouse. I don't know what his formal title is. But
So yeah,
definitely the most
having
senior
a
in the
wise
engineering department
armor
there.
set that's like
Man,
wise
was he working on like a water
helps out a
an
ton,
automated watering
you know?
system for
Yep, I'm
plants
already
or
back up to
something? I forgot what it
164,000.
was, but we wanna see that you like to learn. That's the big one. We don't want. It doesn't matter what you're learning. It matters that you are learning on your own time.
We work in a very agile environment, and we work in an environment where we have to translate passion to the screen. So if you're not passionate about things,
You'll never make it.
you're not going to make it. You're going to have to care a lot.
And the thing is,
That's-
you don't have to be. I'm going to pick on Anthony again. You don't have to be someone for whom this on-screen persona or presentation style comes naturally to. I mean, Anthony was hired as a writer. He was never supposed to be a host. But if you have that passion, it doesn't matter because people connect with that. Whereas if you are like a professional, amazing host, but you don't really care, the audience's BS detector is going to go off like that. They'll know. They'll know. You can't fake it. Ooh, nice. GTX 680.
I remember
think I
that
know where this one
specific
came
card.
from.
Yes, I was going to say I know that card. I am 100% certain I know that exact card.
Me too. There were not a lot of Galaxy cards in North America around the time of
No.
the 680 launch.
No, there wasn't. I'm pretty sure I've used that exact card before.
I have no further comment on this card.
that was probably one of the earliest
We
cards
should
I've
probably
been.
find the system.
Oh my.
From Robert.
Where do you want to sign it? So I'll hold it for you.
In the butt.
In the butt.
Thanks.
Do you have any recommendations for basic and reliable antivirus, or is it even still necessary?
We use Sentinel-1 here because Jake picked it. I think there's still other like decent AV. Hold on here. You can pick the good one since we're not working in parallel anymore. Or, oh, yeah, yes. Oh, crap. Hey, Anthony, are you still here? Yeah. Hey, AV recommendations? Are you just out of the game at this point too, or antivirus? Oh yeah, AV has a lot of. Okay, yeah. There's adult video. There's audio visual. There's. Sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking audio visual, but now I'm thinking adult video.
Well, gee, what are you into? Okay, it's there's a Christian
hell?
Minecraft stream. Okay, let's. Just...
I don't know. It changes all the time. Like it's kind of an arms race between like malware vendors and the antivirus vendors.
Yeah.
So like sometimes one vendor will be better than the other. I know.
Well, which one's the one that's Kaspersky? Is that the one that's like very much on the poo list right now?
Yeah, don't-
Kaspersky is basically. I think they banned it for use in government.
Yeah, like get rid of that.
Yeah, so we could say not that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've done some work with them before, but we used to. I think they're like pretty high. AV Comparatives is a good website to take a look at if they're still running.
Cool. I haven't cared in a really long time, to be completely honest, but back in my heyday, Malwarebytes was sick. Malwarebytes is manual scan.
Malwarebytes is still around.
Yeah. I know their manual scan used to be like really awesome. Yeah.
ZAG is back in Twitch chat asking, where is the fraud? I got hired to do job X at MS and job Y at Meta. Both got complete. No, like your hours were part of the job. So the hours were not complete.
It depends on how they're hired, I guess, technically.
Technically, I guess it does, but I suspect that they thought of that.
Yeah.
All right.
This is our last message.
Ooh.
Nice and Luke.
Better be a good one.
From Dingboy. Did your parents play games?
Oh, dude.
Are you kidding me? Okay, you go first.
Mine's probably more interesting.
Yeah, okay, I'll go first. No.
Okay, here's mine.
And like, we're super not into me playing games. Man, you know, I feel like the time that my parents tried to be most supportive of me being into computers and gaming was the time that I asked for some game for Christmas and I got a desk so that I could put my computer on it and play games. I didn't want a desk. I would have been happy with a piece of plywood on a couple of sawhorses and the game I wanted to play.
But that was the closest.
But that was the closest we got.
Yeah.
And bless their heart, my parents, I guess, in that case. But no, gaming was not a priority in our house. It was a waste of time and definitely was never going to lead to a hugely successful, not to mention lucrative career. I have much lucrative.
Hey!
I used that word on purpose.
Yeah, I thought so. I got the vibe. I still game with my dad, like actively all the time. We played games this week. I'm pretty sure. If not, it was last week. Yeah, and it's great. It's fantastic. I love it. It's a really cool way that my dad has been able to keep like hanging out with my brother and I because we'll all play games together. My mom is not, you know, nearly as into it, but has given some effort. Tried Skyrim, tried WoW.
Wanna know what I've been doing,
has
Gundam?
tried some other stuff,
This
kind of dabbled
entire
in,
day.
but isn't like super
Mining?
into,
Mining
anything.
Mithro.
Has tried. If I remember correctly, I think she got to like level 40 in WoW.
And,
or something.
That's not bad. That's higher than I made it.
My ass
Yeah, like
hurts
it was
Maybe.
pretty legit.
Not sure.
She was
from
amazing.
mining Mithro.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Alright.
definitely. They definitely do.
I curated one more merch message.
You're looking at me. What
Go
is
ahead.
it? Question for Luke. Okay. As Fullplane is competing in a market similar to Nebula's market, I believe founded by Wendover Productions, have you ever considered working or merging with Nebula to create an even larger creator focus?
It's about to be 1 a.m. I think I'm gonna go
Yeah.
because it's 1 in the morning. And tomorrow is Mother's Day. So. I kind of want to be up early, you know?
Yep.
So yeah, the good thing about co-op, Kenton, is that both of us don't need to be online.
That's true.
To be clear, we're not throwing shade. It's just
And
companies.
Yeah.
And we have nothing to do with it. Also, I don't think.
all right, I'll see you later, okay?
Is Wendover involved?
When the auction finishes, don't take it,
Okay.
I'm not certain.
You can ask them.
Yeah.
because I'm gonna give you half of it basically.
Oh, okay.
But that's when I get on tomorrow. When I'm done, I'm gonna bank the half into the co-op bank.
B series and X series chipsets do
You
have
know?
Alright.
much more expansion,
Alright,
including
so,
the ability to
yeah.
bifurcate.
I'll see you later.
Or split
Have fun.
PCIe lanes
Alright.
with multi-GPU or high-speed storage support.
Bye.
The bottom line is that while some people get bogged down on details like voltage regulators and cooling them, the reality is that a mid-range board with good user reviews that has all the slots, sockets, and RGB ports you need for other hardware is the path of least resistance. And there's no shame in that.
System memory, or RAM, can be both straightforward and incredibly deep depending on who you ask and what you plan to do
Just
with it.
random
It's usually
LTT
labeled
videos
according
playing
to
in the
three
corner now.
main values: capacity, speed, and timings. The higher the capacity, the more concurrent tasks your system can work on, but the more memory you have, the more strain on your CPU's memory controller, which usually means reduced frequency and increased timings, both of which are bad. Frequency determines how often information can travel from the memory stick or module to the CPU and vice versa. Higher is better, while timings determine how long the wait is for actual memory chips to respond to a given request. Lower is better. It's important to note that there are points of diminishing returns for all of these attributes, and that some CPUs prefer certain memory frequencies because they can lock their memory controllers to match, such as AMD's Ryzen 3000 and 5000 series CPUs, which tend to work best at memory speeds of 3600 to 800 megatransfers per second DDR4, after which point it's better to drive down latencies than go for more speed. And it should be noted, most of the fast kits on the market are overclocked, meaning both the memory modules and the CPU's memory controller will be pushed harder and with more voltage than usual. Ryzen 5000 and Intel's 11th Gen Core and later CPUs support up to 3200 megatransfers per second DDR4 natively, after which you're in overclock territory. Regardless of speed, you'll want to buy your memory in matching pairs for dual-channel motherboards, triplets for triple channel, and so on. And while you're at it, for best performance, you'll want to make sure your memory is also running dual rank. Now, rank is essentially one or more memory modules that receive commands as a group. If all of the memory stick's memory is in one group, that's single rank, while some larger memory modules come split into two, which is dual rank. The advantage is that while each rank has to be accessed separately, no matter what, they can still split the load between themselves for better performance. If you've got a matched pair of dual rank memory, you'll get the benefits by default. But you can also install 4 matched single rank modules for the same effect if your motherboard has 4 slots. Generally speaking, larger modules tend to be dual rank, but you can usually tell single rank and dual rank apart by 1R or 2R in the model number.
One more thing to consider for memory is error correction code, or ECC memory. This has recently become a pretty hot topic due to the per-chip error correction that's making its way into DDR5. But there's a difference. Full ECC memory has an extra chip that allows it to detect and correct errors even when the data is moving to and from the CPU. Five's error correction is only making sure that the data inside each chip is safe. This lets DDR5 vendors still offer overclocked memory kits, while you'd be hard-pressed to find anything like that for full ECC. The more robust nature of full ECC memory, meanwhile, has made it a favorite for servers and high-end workstations where stability is key, even if it comes at the cost of some performance. So if that's you, then you've got some things to untangle first. True ECC can come in 3 flavors: unregistered, registered, and load reduced. Unregistered memory, also called UDIM, is the same kind that goes into your desktop and notebook PC. So your CPU will access the memory chips directly with nothing in between. Registered memory, also called RDIM, includes a go-between chip that the CPU talks to that manages the data coming and going from each memory chip. Load-reduced memory, called LRDIM, takes this one step further by replacing that register chip with an ultra-fast buffer. This buffer reduces the amount of chatter required to communicate with the memory, allowing the CPU to access as many as 8 ranks per module. That's how servers can have multiple terabytes of memory in them. The trade-off, of course, is higher latency. Don't go thinking you can just mix and match, by the way. Consumer motherboards almost exclusively accept UDIMs and not much else. And while some motherboards can support both RDIMs and LRDIMs, this is no guarantee. So check the manual for your motherboard for information on what it can handle before you pull the trigger. Most motherboard manufacturers will have manuals available online.
Storage drives can be divided broadly into 2 categories: old school SATA and PCI Express-based NVMe drives. There are different connections for both of these, with this being the most common for SATA and this being the most common for NVMe. The motherboard manual will include a list of these ports that tells you exactly how many you can install. Mechanical hard drives are for bulk storage on the cheap and typically use a SATA interface. We'll talk a bit more about these later. Solid-state drives, or SSDs, are more expensive, but are recommended as a boot drive for your operating system and for key applications at almost any price point due to their much higher performance. They are available with SATA interfaces, but have mostly gone NVMe at this point in the M.2 form factor. Remember that term? It means size and shape. Even among NVMe SSDs, there is an obvious broad performance spectrum, and with Microsoft's upcoming implementation of direct storage, a premium PCIe Gen 4 SSD or greater might offer a clear performance benefit. But for most average users and gamers, the main things you want are a DRAM cache and some kind of manufacturer indication of endurance, which is a measure of how many times the drives can be written before the cells wear out. Drives with short warranties are probably best avoided, and even quality drives should be backed up regularly.
Now let's talk cooling. Enthusiasts tend to instinctively gravitate towards custom loop liquid cooling, and this is usually the absolute best you can get without going sub-zero, which isn't sustainable long-term, if you're a coward. But from a cost to performance standpoint, it rarely makes sense. Liquid cooling is a topic all in itself, but the short version is that your primary concerns are going to be the water blocks and the total surface area of your radiator setup. Generally speaking, surface area is king. More fins on your cold plate means
oh, that is a clever way to make a water wheel.
Radiator surface area.
Can't believe I've never thought of that.
The more heat you can remove from your liquid, or silence, the slower you can run many fans. Materials are less intuitive though. Copper is the superior conductor, but it's more expensive than aluminum, which might make you think you can get away with copper for the GPU and aluminum for everything else. But if you try to mix and match them, it's gonna be terrible. I give you my Linus Tech Tips guarantee that galvanic corrosion will ruin your day sometime down the line. You can try out those, like, you know, anti-corrosion mixtures. Don't do it, it'll be really bad. Some metals can be mixed relatively safely. Here's a chart of what's safe to mix and what's not. Most people don't want to deal with all of that though, and AIO solutions or all-in-ones are both cheaper and easier to work with. The general rule is that 240 millimeter radiator will be fine for most CPUs, with only the most exotic requiring a 280 or a 360. The main drawbacks of AIOs is that they are more expensive, less reliable, and offer questionable performance benefits compared to large tower-style heatsinks. That's why, for most people, we recommend a large heatsink, hassle-free, long-term operation. The drawback of these, due to their size, some consider them unsightly, and they can be a hazard during transportation due to their immense weight. At the end of the day, whatever comes of your CPU is fine for most people, but it might run hotter or louder than you want. Compound, for most people, doesn't matter.
Other side of the mountain
As long as
again.
it's a decent brand and it's not some just bulk stuff you got off of Wish. But there are a couple things to consider. If you're not going with the easy to use but not thermally amazing graphite pads that cover your CPU like a cozy little blanket, you're going to want to make sure that whatever you get is electrically non-conductive, and the best way to do that is to just look at the label. Most companies exclusively carry non-conductive compounds, with the exception being liquid metal. Thermal Grizzly's Conductonaut, for example, is an actual metal alloy called Galenstan that's fully liquid at temperatures as low as 8 degrees Celsius. It's both electrically conductive and potentially reactive with aluminum parts like heat sinks, and this reaction is not a good thing. While an aluminum oxide layer is usually present on aluminum, a tiny scratch or scuff is all that's needed for the gallium to work its magic and turn your cooler into a crumbly mess that doesn't even look real. If you decide to try liquid metal, make sure you're using copper or nickel-plated coolers. If you're content with cheaper traditional compounds, then you've got nothing to fear.
There are some things you just shouldn't know. Power supplies. While early on, it was pretty easy to figure out whether a power supply was decent by just looking at its 80 plus rating. And it is 80 plus gold. That is the real draw for this power supply series right there. It is so easy to hit the 80 plus standards these days that it's not really a useful measure anymore. The good news is Cybernetics Lab has stepped up to build a more meaningful certification system that addresses both efficiency and noise levels, and hopefully more in the future. Beyond that, the main feature you need to decide if you need is a modular interface.
There we go, I've made all my money back already.
But as connectivity standards evolve, like the new PCI Express Gen 5 power connector, for example, it means that you have a chance of replacing just a cable rather than using an adapter or replacing the power supply. And power supplies have reached a level of reliability that I wouldn't really consider one with a warranty shorter than 5 years now. Seasonic even goes as high as 12 years on their Prime series. Power supplies, like motherboards and cases, have different form factors that you need to look out for, though. This consideration is mostly important for small form factor builds, where the SFX standard provides a smaller footprint in order to accommodate tinier builds. While SFX defines a maximum depth for a power supply that sort of makes it look like a flat rectangle, SFXL relaxes this to a square shape. And while it doesn't necessarily offer more connections, you'll actually find that usually the more powerful small form factor units are SFXL, and they have the added benefit of using larger fans, so they tend to be a little bit quieter. Just double check your case's compatibility, because not all cases that support one can also support the other. Another class of power supplies that has grown in popularity over the last 10 years is DC to DC converter power supplies. These use an external brick, just like some monitors or your laptop, and then have a super efficient DC to DC conversion, hence the name, that takes whatever the input voltage is and splits it out to all the voltages that you need internally. They tend to be fanless
How am I supposed to get up
and
there?
extremely small, though it does come at the cost of that external brick. Now, there are other esoteric form factors, like TFX, that is often used in rack mount circuits. But for nearly everything else, you'll be fine with an ATX form factor power supply. It's big, it's chunky, and it's the standard that we've had since not long after the Windows 95 days. These offer the highest wattages on the market, with the largest assortment of peripheral and 12-volt plugs for CPU and PCI Express devices and drives and all that good stuff.
But buyer beware. The ATX form factor only specifies the width and height of the power supply at the backplate. It says nothing about the depth, so you will need to take into consideration whether your power supply will fit your chosen case if it's not in the typical square footprint. Make sure you buffer a little extra if you have a modular interface, because those plugs take up a little bit more space.
Now cases. This is where builds can get very interesting. There are options that can be found for as low as $20 on sale, and there are options costing well over 10 times that much. Or 100 times. Who cares? Just keep going if you want something truly unique. We've already gone over the different major form factors, but even within these constraints, there is an incredible amount of variety out there. Because picking a case on its own is so personalized and situational, we're just going to go over a few basic things to keep in mind while picking one out. First and foremost is airflow. Regardless of whether you're after a quiet rig or an extreme cooling rig, you're going to need airflow, and there's no substitute for a mesh front panel.
I think I can snipe it if I can time it
even
just
offer
right.
better acoustic performance than closed front panel cases because the fans don't need to ramp up as high. Not everyone is into that aesthetic though, so vendors like Corsair
got it.
glass front panels instead, with spacing
I just
and
need to
extra
get it.
intakes on the motherboard side panel to
Especially
keep
since
things
it's a
looking
Griffin
pretty
feather,
while
that's
maintaining
really
solid airflow.
a lot
Secondary to
of
airflow
money.
should be ease of maintenance. If your
Got
case
it.
has great airflow, but it's a pain to clean once it's sucked a bit of dust in, you're gonna have a bad time. Removable dust filters and easily accessible front panels help tremendously with maintenance, and most good cases will come with these features. Finally, expansion. What you get will depend on how much of what kind of stuff you want to cram in, plain and simple. Then beyond that, it should ideally be well laid out for cable management and open enough that it's easy to work in.
Of course, you won't have any cooling without fans, so what do you buy? There are several considerations here, including the fan's diameter and bearing type, whether the blade is optimized for airflow or static pressure, and of course, whether or not it has addressable RGB. Bearings are what let the fan blade spin freely, so the better quality of the bearing, the more efficient and less noisy a fan is. There are three major types. Sleeve bearings are cost-effective and quiet, but tend to wear out quickly because they rely on a lubricant to keep them going. Higher quality sleeve bearing fans can last for years thanks to better seals, but that lubricant will expire, and once it does, so does the fan. Sleeve bearing fans are also designed to run vertically to prevent the lubricant from pooling, making them unsuitable for use in the top or bottom of cases. Ball bearing fans are far more reliable and much more expensive to match, but they tend to be louder because
It's
they
on the other
utilize
side of the mountain
actual
again, isn't
physical
it?
ball bearings to overcome friction instead of a lubricant. This also means they're much more likely to survive high temperatures than a sleeve fan, so they're common in servers and other reliability-first environments. More advanced sleeve style bearings, called fluid dynamic or hydrodynamic
Or it
bearings,
is, rather.
are positioned as a bridging gap between traditional sleeve and ball bearing fans. While their mechanisms are similar to sleeve bearings, they're typically filled with pressurized oil and higher quality seals than a regular lubricating grease. Not all fans that use these bearings are good, but Noctua, for example, exclusively uses their SSO series bearings, which are hydrodynamic and very well regarded. I think Corsairs are also pretty good too. There are other bearings like maglev, which use magnetic levitation for effectively zero friction and are thus extremely quiet, long-lasting, and they also cost significantly more than other types of bearings. Corsair famously has a maglev series of fans in their ML lineup, but they tend to have fewer RGB options and cost significantly more than their other fans. Regardless of the bearings, fans tend to get graded on two major criteria: static pressure and airflow, with some designs leaning further one way than the other. Corsair's SP and Noctua's
Is
P
this
series
the like
fans
last
are
build
optimized
guide
for
you'll ever
static
need
pressure.
video?
The higher the static pressure, the more air that can be forced through a restrictive filter.
Yeah, this is
or
that. Fair enough.
Welcome once again to Leto's Law. Here's Steve Leto.
Had an interesting story sent to me by a whole bunch of people. And if you ever travel and you stay in a hotel and you have to check out by a certain time, but you still want to explore the city, or if you get there early before check-in and you got no place to go, sometimes you can say, can we put our luggage here while we go wander around? And they will take your luggage and put it someplace, give you a claim check, and say, okay, we'll hang on to your luggage for you as a courtesy. Some hotels will charge you a couple bucks for that, but it's just something that is a known thing you can do in the industry.
Okay, apparently I
and
got
they
it.
will watch your luggage for you. So crazy story out of California where a guy left 2 suitcases with the hotel, and they said, yeah, we watched it for you. And he left, and someone else wandered in and said, you got some of my luggage in here and I lost the claim check. Can I have my luggage? And somebody said, oh, okay, well, just go back and grab your luggage. So the guy walked back there and he grabbed 2 suitcases and walked out. And of course, it wasn't his luggage. So the guy whose luggage it was came back and said, here's my claim check. And they go, oh, your luggage is gone. Huh. And then they realized they'd given the guy's luggage to somebody else. So he tried to get them to compensate him for what was in the luggage. And apparently they wouldn't do that. So he sued them in small claims court. And the interesting thing is that in small claims court in California, you can appeal. And at the first small claims court hearing, the hotel lost. And they lost, and they appealed that. And on appeal, a judge said, I'd like to give you more money, sir, but under California law, and a law that was actually put into law in the 1870s, I believe, you're capped at $500 a bag. So they admit that they lost your bags, they owe you $1,000. And that does not begin to make up for what the guy had in his bag. So I have in my hand a copy of the actual judgment that was posted on the internet. It was filed with the clerk of the court March 24th of 2022 and Superior Court of California, County of San Francisco on McAllister Street. And this is the actual judgment. Now, a lot of times a judgment will simply be a form like this. It just has a case caption, which are the names of the parties and name of the court. And it says, this cause came on regularly for trial on March 16th in Department 502 before the Honorable Jeffrey S. Ross, judge presiding. And then it says, and this is where it gets interesting, is that on the back is an attachment. And the judge wrote an opinion. And now, here's the thing. I'm not saying this is unprecedented, but I've never seen an opinion written by a court over a small claims matter. And I think, this is my interpretation of it, that the judge is trying to point out the absurd result. So it says your attachment to the court judgment, small claims appeal, case of Marriott versus Sabuni, and Marriott is listed as the appellant, but they are not the plaintiff. The lawsuit was filed by Mr. Sabuni. So, Marriott International appeals from the judgment of 2021 that awarded Mr. Sabuni $5,000 for Marriott's loss of Sabuni's possessions, contending that the Civil Code Section 1859 limits liability to Sabuni. Sabuni argues that Section 1859 is inapplicable because he was not a guest. And that's an interesting argument. The statute, although it's number 1859, was passed initially in 1872. That's the year that this statute came into existence. The court says the facts are not disputed. The facts are undisputed. Sabuni had a reservation at the San Francisco Marriott Marquis on June 20th, 2021. He arrived early, and because his room was not ready, he checked his baggage and received a claim check, and then he departed. That afternoon, a man went to Marriott claiming he had checked his baggage but lost his claim check. The interaction was recorded on Marriott's surveillance equipment. Remarkably, without even seeking identification, a Marriott employee invited the man into the baggage room and allowed him to select the baggage he claimed to have checked. Here, take your pick. Marriott gave the man all of Sabuni's possessions, including a Briggs & Riley rollaway bag, a Toomey leather backpack, an iPad Pro, a MacBook Pro, a 4 terabyte hard drive, clothing and personal items, which Sabuni valued at $8,000. The small claims court awarded him $5,000, and the court did not address the application of Section 1859, and the $5,000 award was apparently that was the cap in small claims. So they basically said, you're beyond the cap, we'll give you the cap. Notwithstanding Marriott's acknowledgement of its fault, rather than compensating its guest for a loss solely attributable to Marriott's conduct, Marriott relies on Section 1859 and contends its exposure should be limited to $500. So they said, we're willing to give the guy $500. $500. Now, Section 1859's limit of liability has not been revised to accord with the current value of luggage, clothing, and most notably, computer equipment and its data. One might expect Marriott to recognize the aberration and, in the interest of customer relations, pay the judgment. Instead, they appealed. And that's the judge talking. The judge actually says one might expect Marriott to recognize the aberration and, in the interest of customer relations, to pay the judgment. Instead, Marriott appealed. This is one of the rare instances where the law does not allow the court to achieve the equitable result, as it must apply Section 1859. Contrary to Sabuni's contention, he had a reservation, checked his belongings as a guest, returned to the hotel, registered as a guest, and stayed the night, albeit deprived of his possessions. Section 1859 applies and limits Marriott's liability for the loss to $1,000 in the aggregate, $500 a bag. The court has no discretion to depart from the application of the statute. Having heard the evidence, I find that Sabuni deposited 2 traveling bags, which included an iPad Pro, a MacBook Pro, total value over $8,000. So the judge is saying, I don't dispute any of that. I believe the man's telling the truth about all the stuff that got taken. However, Section 1859 limits Marriott's liability to $250 per item, and therefore the court is limited to awarding Sabuni $1,000 for the loss of all of his possessions. So I guess they're saying that the bags are 2 different items and the 2 computers are 2 different items. I'm not quite sure how that would be, unless, of course, they were stacked in there as 4 things. But he's saying here it's $250 per item, 4 items, which is 2 bags, 2 computers. A person who is entitled to recover damages certain or capable of being made certain by calculation, and the right to recover which is vested in the person upon a particular day, is entitled also to recover interest thereon from that day. So the court does award the man interest as well on his $1,000. So the court says, I find that the value of the possessions was $8,194. While Section 1859 limits Marriott's liability to $1,000 in the aggregate for the lost items, interest on the full value of the lost property is calculated from the day of the loss. Interest for 10 months at the annual rate of 7% totals $478. So the judge is actually saying he's giving the man interest on everything he lost as part of the judgment, but as for the stuff he lost, he can only get $1,000. So the judge is doing everything he can to make this guy whole, which I gotta salute the guy for that. Sabuni is also awarded costs, the amount of $75, for a total judgment against Marriott in the amount of $1,553. And that's what we have here, is a copy of the actual judgment. And so the principal award is $1,000. But above that, it says the judgment is reversed. And that's because in the lower hearing, the small claims court had awarded the man $5,000. And so on appeal, it got knocked down to $1,000. And the net result, of course, is that Marriott is getting tons and tons of publicity regarding how a man checked into their hotel, and right before he checked in, he left his luggage there because he got there early. When he came back, they said, oh, we gave your luggage to somebody else. Sorry. And they are saying, well, it's too bad, but we're limited to, what we have to pay you back. And it says here that the aggregate is $1,000 that they can be required to pay, and that is a statute that was drafted in 1872. Now, one of the weird things about this story is I can't imagine that a hotel the size of Marriott doesn't understand how some of this stuff works. And obviously, this is the kind of thing that could happen. And I mean, I remember back in the old days when there were stories about people who would go to the airport, just walk up the baggage conveyor and just pick up a bag and walk out. They hadn't flown any place that day. They just wanted some free luggage. And so if you know this is a possibility, obviously you give people a claim check and say, when you want to come get your stuff, show us this. When somebody walks in and goes, oh, I lost my claim check, can I go back and pick a bag? Wouldn't you at least say, let's see some ID? Are you a guest at the hotel? What's your name? That right there would have gotten the guy to turn around and run away, because he's not a guest at the hotel. And if he shows them real ID, he's going to get caught. And the question is he really carrying fake ID? And if so, would it match the name of somebody who's checked in or about to check in? Because that's the other thing, is that even though there are a lot of guests checking into and out of that hotel every single day, the people whose baggage that is, their name would appear in there somewhere. Someone checking in, someone checking out, people moving out, people moving in. So that's the shame here. And so it's unfortunate because Marriott could have said, well, because apparently I read another version of the story someplace, and they said that they asked him to provide receipts for everything that he had. It turns out I think he did. And they could have said, well, we're only limited to $1,000, but we'll do this as a matter of goodwill. But instead they said no. In fact, they fought him in small claims court and then appealed the small claims court award. And the interesting thing is that the first award didn't make the news as far as I know. It was the appeal that made the news. So right now, people are all saying, wow, Marriott did this to a guy in San Francisco. They gave away his luggage, and no one disputes what was in his luggage, but they said, well, it's too bad, we're limited to $1,000. We're limited to $1,000. So it's a crazy story, widely reported. Marriott International Inc. versus Baman Sabuni. And I could be mispronouncing his name, and I apologize for that. But it's a crazy story, and it's something to think about. If you're traveling and you're going to leave your bag someplace and they give you the claim check, understand that state law, where you are, or the country's law if you're out of the country, might limit how much they've got to pay you back if they lose your luggage. So keep that in mind. Got to thank James, George, Wolf, Randy, John, Madcap, and Chris. All sent it to me. Thanks a lot. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Leto's Law. Progress is man's ability to complicate simplicity. Welcome once again to Leto's Law. Here's Steve Leto.
I do talk about police officers from time to time. I once did a video about small town cops also. And so this story caught my eye. Errol sent it to me and said, Steve, check this out. From the Daily Beast, Kelly Weil wrote it. Cops in tiny Iowa town charged with stalking women and tasering party guests. And yeah, it's a wild time down there. Ex-officials in Armstrong, Iowa have been slapped with over 100 charges related to stalking local women, electrocuting people at a party trick, as a party trick, and a host of financial crimes. And of course, electrocuting is a bit of a hyperbole there, because the taser doesn't electrocute you in the sense that you're kaput. So they're accused of stalking and snooping, embezzling and evidence tampering, falsifying documents, stealing from fire departments, and using a taser on party guests. Those are just some of the things they're accused of, including also perjury, data breaches, and obstructing prosecution, illegal vacationing, misappropriating dental funds, and tax evasion. I'm sorry. Tax evasion? You criminals. You animals. How dare you? This, of course, is a group of former officials from Armstrong, Iowa. So it's not all police, I don't think, but they've racked up more than 100 combined criminal charges, and that's gotten them onto the radar of news organizations nationwide. Armstrong is located in the state's northern border, population of approximately 875. So that's a pretty small place.
If I have the money,
a small group of local officials, including the town's former mayor, his son-in-law, who's also the town's former police chief, and a local ex-cop, are accused of single-handedly sending the tiny enclave's crime rate sky high. Together, they've been charged with more than 100 counts, ranging from assault to embezzlement. It's not even counting another dozen charges facing an alleged accomplice cop in a nearby town. So it's spilled over. 2 city clerks have pleaded guilty in the case, and the remainder, of course, have pleaded not guilty. Most of the allegations are new this month when former Armstrong police officer was hit with 84 charges. Those charges include multiple counts of perjury, obstructing an investigation, stalking, unauthorized access and dissemination of police data, assault with a weapon, dangerous, tax evasion, and theft. Those allegations span 2 police departments, that's Armstrong, as well as the nearby town of Escherville. While working in Escherville in 2019, the new charges allege, one of the men stalked a local woman and used his job to obtain personal information about her. Although the charging document is light on details, his alleged victim previously accused him of trying to extort her. In a lawsuit filed last year, the victim claims that the person bothering her was working as an Escherville police officer and moonlighting as a repo man for a credit agency in 2019. I'm guessing that's a collection agency. That's when, according to her lawsuit, the man and a colleague repossessed her car. The woman at the heart of this story is a nursing student, couldn't afford the fee to reclaim her car, so she says they then suggested, at least one of them suggested, according to her, that she could do them some favors if she wanted to get her vehicle back and not have to pay the cash. She says she refused the officer's advances, but the man used his role as a police officer to threaten her and her family, implying that he could cause her trouble if she didn't play along with him. According to the lawsuit, which is, of course, still in the process of going, he suggested he could cause legal trouble for her father also. That he could cause legal trouble for the father of her child also. And of course, at this point in time, the man was not in trouble with the law. The police officer's lawyer declined to comment on these new charges, and her lawyer did not return a request for comment. The former cop has denied the allegations, of course, in court, and has pleaded not guilty to the dozens of new criminal allegations. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on in this town. The lengthy new charging documents suggest that that woman was not the only target of that one officer's attention. He's also accused of stalking another local woman and using his police powers to look up personal information about at least 4 of her family and friends. In all, he's accused of using police databases to snoop on 25 people, many of them women in northern Iowa. Earlier this month, he was served with court orders barring him from contacting 4 different women. But some of the alleged targets were fellow cops, including one who was also implicated in the sprawling local scandal. The cop we're talking about here is accused of illegally accessing information on Escherville police officers, at least one. Elsewhere in the charging documents, he's accused of obstructing a prosecution against another police officer who was slapped with a dozen charges of his own this month. And that man has pleaded not guilty to the charges, all of which relate to his improper access and dissemination of personal information. That's what the allegation is. Some of those breaches involve the woman we talked about earlier, whose personal information was accessed and sent to the first cop we talked about. There's a whole lot of stuff going on here, and a lot of it involves accessing that information that the police have the ability to get to, but they're only supposed to do that for official purposes.
This is cool.
And every now and then we hear about people who are misusing that. So in April 2016, prosecutors alleged that one police officer let someone borrow his police-issued taser at a party where it was used to assault an Armstrong City employee. Prosecutors also claimed that partygoers refunded the man for his taser darts.
How you doing?
And that he failed to report the collection of crowd-funded stun gun money.
I haven't been in here before. This is cool.
That's my rap name. I'm Stun Gun Money. So, interestingly, the police officer
I can't figure out how to get out.
is not accused of having fired the stun gun himself. But the problem is that, handing it to someone else saying, here, knock yourself out.
What the name of the dog is going on?
So he's not
I
named
am
the
running
charging
around
documents.
doing a treasure
Another
hunt
former cop was previously arrested
while
in the
listening
Taser
to this guy talk about random court cases and such that are going on.
incident.
And like it
And
really
so
is
this
just
crazy.
like
But
he doesn't give
prosecutors went on to
any.
accuse police officers
He isn't
unsuccessfully
one-sided about
trying
it,
to
but like he goes
wipe
on
the
like
stun gun's memory.
this
after
is what
shooting party
happened.
guests. He's
You know.
pleaded not guilty and unsuccessfully attempted to have the case
It's
dismissed,
interesting.
arguing that party guests had consented to being stunned by the stun
You thought
gun.
that was me?
A judge declined the motion, writing that typical birthday party.
I mean, that
attendees
was
do
a
not
statue
expect
of
the
me,
hired
which is
clown
mildly
or magician
confusing.
to start electrocuting and incapacitating people. This judge is my new hero. The judge declined the motion, writing that typical birthday party attendees do not expect a hired clown or magician to start electrocuting and incapacitating people. And yes,
Oh, good. That way again.
he's calling one of the cops the equivalent of a hired clown. And many people in my audience right now are writing that down going, I like that. I like that. The man is a hired clown. So there's much more.
There's
to the
so
story.
many
It's
people
actually
trying to
several
sell
pages
stuff in
long. I
chat.
just
It's
scratched
kind
the
of
surface
insane.
it. but a lot's going on down there in the little town of Armstrong.
But yeah, no, that's not me.
And it's amazing. I mean, I lived in a town.
This is me, but the lighting in my room is kind of off right
police
now.
Officer. Now, obviously, that police force is smaller than this
It's
one.
hard to green screen when
place I was
there's
at had
lighting
one
that's
police
gone all
officer.
fucky.
It may have had two, but I think they had one car. I think but anyways, the cop during the day, I remember when I moved to town, I saw him and I realized, oh, there's only one car. So one day I saw him
another Griffin feather
on the side of the road in town talking to somebody. It wasn't official business. He was
Or
clearly just chit-chatting with somebody. So I waited till he was
there
done,
it
and I
is.
walked over and I said, hi, my name's Steve.
These are
Blake.
like
I'd to
$50,000
say hello,
bucks each,
meet
by
you."
the way.
He goes, oh, great. How you doing? And I go, good. And I pointed. I go, that's my house right there. And he goes, cool. Good to know you.
60,000.
And it turns out I would see the guy almost every single day, sometimes more than once a day. So I'd go out and I'd walk Wolfie, and I'd see him drive. Hey, how you doing? Wave, goes by, and then I'd go for a bike ride, and I see him again. So I saw the guy a lot. But small towns are like that. Everybody knows everybody, and unfortunately, in this small town, if they don't know you well enough, they might look up your personal information and ask you out, so to speak. So it's a crazy story, and when a small town like that gets in this kind of trouble, you can imagine how embarrassing that is to live in that town. Because people are going to say, you live in Armstrong. That's a town in the news. Yeah, they're in the news because of hundreds of charges against the police officers and others. So it's a crazy story. And by the way, the bit about whether or not someone consented to being shot, it's going to vary from state to state. But we've talked before briefly about assault and battery. And you often hear the phrase put together, assault and battery. But in the old days of common law, an assault was one thing and a battery was another. And generally speaking, one definition of assault is an attempted battery. Okay? And I've said this before. So if I walk up to you and I take a swing at you and I miss, it's not battery. I didn't hit you. It's an assault because I tried to hit you. And so it will often say that an assault is an attempted battery. A battery is an offensive touching. Someone touches you in an offensive manner. And if an assault is an attempted battery, when they complete the process, it becomes assault and battery. Some places don't make the distinction. Some will just have you have a single charge for assault, another charge for battery. But if you complete it, they just call it battery. Some places call it assault and
someone's been removed from
so
my game.
that's that.
That's neat.
But there is
Guess
also
the banned person
a
that was
concept in the
blatantly
common law
cheating.
that goes way, way back, that generally speaking, you cannot consent to an assault and battery. You cannot consent to it. Meaning that you can't say, go ahead, punch me in the face. Now, I know you're going to say, Steve, if I want to let someone punch me in the face, why can't I? And by the way, let's suppose we're at a bar and somebody bets me and says, I could punch you in the face and knock you out. And I said, I bet you can't. Can I do that? And of course, the answer is no, you can't. Generally speaking, you can't. And you might say, but Steve, that's infringing on my rights as an American. Somewhere in the Constitution, there's got to be something that says I've got the right to let someone punch me in the face. And of course, the reason that exists is a public policy issue. Because if you were allowed to consent willy-nilly to people punching you and hitting you, stunning you with a stun gun and shooting you, what would happen every single time that happened?
Fuck.
The guy told me to.
Those cats
He
are
said I
whale
could.
pee.
He wanted me to. So you punched this guy in the face. He asked me to. So you shot the guy with a stun gun. Yeah, he said he wanted me to. And so to get rid of that stupid argument that would come up constantly, we've done away with it. And so said, no, you can't consent to it. Now, there are obviously things you can consent to that, technically speaking, could be considered battery. For instance, if you undergo surgery. But of course, we all recognize as a society that surgery, if it's being performed by a competent doctor for a good reason, is not an offensive touching. It is a touching nonetheless. That's why you sign a waiver. But it's understood that you're signing the waiver specifically to acknowledge that someone's going to do something very, very intrusive to your body. But you recognize they're doing it, and it's also acknowledged as to why they're doing it. They're doing it for specific reasons.
It's hard to explain. He's just really interesting to listen to. You know what I mean?
Boxing matches. Obviously, these two guys are hitting each other in the head. Nowadays, it could be two gals.
That said, if you talk in chat, I'm totally down to talk back.
Again, that's a slightly different situation. And likewise, boxing goes back to the days of the common law as well. So we've recognized a few carved out exceptions where you can consent to a battery under a controlled circumstance, like in a surgical operating room, a boxing ring, presumably a rugby match, possibly a football or soccer match, depending on how the game's being played. Football's part of the game. Two big guys slamming each other as hard as they can.
Yeah, he's a lawyer from Michigan.
That's part of the game. But generally speaking,
he does like
the idea
4 or 5 videos a
that
day.
Two
It's
people
insane.
standing there. One goes, "Go ahead, hit me in the face as hard as you can."
But like, it's just interesting to listen to someone talk about something they're clearly interested in.
Someone might point out and say, "No one's going to believe you. It's not even legal and recognized as legal offense, and especially if you don't have witnesses." Some guy walks into a police department with a broken nose and goes, "Yeah, that guy hit me. Just out of nowhere, hit me." Because after you get hit, you change your mind. So there you go. There you go. Cops in tiny Iowa towns
Mr.
charged
Steve
with stalking
Lato,
women and
if you're
tasering party
curious.
guests. Ex-officials in Armstrong, Iowa, population 875, have been slapped with over 100 charges. Over 100 charges from the Daily Beast. That's Kelly Weil. Errol Senate, thanks a lot. Questions or comments, put them below.
Thank you for watching Leto's Law. The most tragic cause of social disharmony is when the speed with which people find mistakes of others outweighs their simple belief that they too are infallible.
Aha. Ooh. Hey, so I got a potion.
What's up, Mr. Bill?
I also dug up like
Do you
3,000
have the
points
list
just now.
for the shivvy that's out here?
Oh, this list? This?
And I think it.
There you go.
Hi, Luna. Hi, Mojo. Hi, Kitty Kitty.
Where's that even? Oh.
There we are. The 2002 Chevrolet. It's the Tahoe. It's got the 5.3.
What even?
And it smells like frustration.
No, I don't want to watch this.
Welcome.
Don't be like that.
Welcome once again to Leto's Law. Here's Steve Leto.
I've got cats in my neighborhood that wander through my yard from time to
Cat.
time. There's at least 2, maybe 3. And I've mentioned before that I had a cat growing up as a little kid. My parents' family got a cat. I think I was about 3 years old, and that cat made it to 16. So my entire life, that cat was a constant in my life until I was an adult. And very, very fond memories and feelings towards that cat. But he was an outdoor cat, and there's a debate about this. And if I had a cat now, I don't think I'd let the cat outdoors, because one of the cats in the neighborhood, I was riding my bike one day and I saw it get hit by a car. And that can happen. And also, there are other animals out there that cats can tangle with. Bad things can happen to them. So, interestingly, though, there's a cat out of Bellevue, Washington, that's made the news. KIRO7 news staff wrote the story. Caleb and Barbara both sent it to me. Cat Miska, M-I-S-K-A, Miska. He's the notorious Bellevue cat, and the owner has won a settlement of $125,000 because of the cat and the controversy surrounding the cat. The cat is referred to here as a notorious cat in Bellevue, named Miska, has won a $125,000 settlement from Bellevue and King County. This is following a 3-year legal battle. A 3-year legal battle involving the cat. The litigation stemmed from $30,000 in fines and more than 30 violations which were issued to the cat's owner. So the owner of the cat was hit with...
It's nice that other people can pitch in and help kill it.
Fines and more than 30 violations for the cat's alleged behavior. This dates back to 2014, so this is a long-running case. Regional Animal Services of King County, contracted by the city of Bellevue, issued violations for claims that Miska trespassed, taunted other pets, and committed other infractions. So here's the thing. Some cities actually have laws on the books that say that if you have a pet, the pet must be licensed and you can't let it run free. And so most people take that as the case for a dog, and many people just throw it out the window with a cat. And if you look at your local ordinances, you might be surprised to see that your cat should have a license, especially if it's outdoors, and should not be roaming free. So what happens is, in a city where they decide to start enforcing this, people who've got outdoor cats go, that's crazy. I let the cat out, the cat comes back. What's the difference? Now, I remember when I had my paper route, there were people who let their dogs out, and the dog would run around and come back. And I remember a couple neighborhoods that had dogs, and there'd just be some dog running around. Now, I was delivering papers in the morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. And back in some neighborhoods that were several blocks away from a busy road, it wasn't that dangerous. But I remember the first couple of times I get startled because a dog comes running up, and then you recognize the dog. It's fine. The dog gets to know you. But, of course, that was against the law at that time for them to let their dog run loose like that. And I remember actually finding out who owned the dog and seeing them do it. And they literally open the door up, the dog would run around for a while, and the dog come back. Let the dog back in.
1,000 coins worth at that time.
To 2014,
it's random what you
Regional
get.
Animal Services of King County contracted with the city of Bellevue, and they issued violations, among others saying that the cat taunted other pets. So apparently there's a list of things that a cat can't do, and it cannot taunt another pet. Meanwhile, the attorney for the owner of the cat said in October of 2020, Miska is the most prosecuted cat in King County and in the city of Bellevue.
Anyway, for my mandatory refill, because
with 30 violations and $30,000 in fines, I'd hate to think somebody got fined more than that. In response to all of this, the owner of the cat filed a lawsuit alleging government overreach.
Oh, time to go through the tunnel
pointing out that her neighbor is an animal control manager and may have been involved in many of the complaints. So the woman who owns the cat says the only reason this is happening to me is I've got a neighbor who works in animal control who's been narking me out. Now, her attorney also believes the violations should be voided because the city of Bellevue did not properly update its domestic cat code. There should be a domestic cat code. The two-man legal team for the cat.
Do I have cats? I do not. Mostly because I have wild allergies
civil rights
to
claims against King County,
fur and
the city of
grass and
Bellevue,
pollen.
other government
It's
entities
outside
and
is
officials.
annoying.
In addition to the $125,000 settlement, the lawsuit spurred a court order that resulted in changes to Bellevue's city code and the way that civil offenses involving animals are heard. So it sounds like they streamlined their process or fixed their process or cleaned their process up somehow in response to this. But the fact that they're paying this woman $125,000 after claiming she owed them $30,000 would suggest that perhaps there were some equities in her favor, as we say. And every now and then, and I'm not saying this is the case here, I'm just saying I see some parallels. Every now and then you hear a story about somebody who's getting hit over and over and over and over again with some particular violation. And you look at it and you go, why doesn't this person learn a lesson? But then you look at what they're being violated for and you go, but wait a second, doesn't everybody do that? And then you discover that's happening because there's one person complaining and it's a neighbor, or it's somebody who drives by there or something. And it's often with the nitpicky things like, you got to have your garbage cans in by sundown on the day your garbage gets picked up. And you left the can out, and the next morning somebody goes by and says, hey, their garbage can's out. That's a violation. You know, and if it happens one time, is that the end of the world? If it happens repeatedly, is that the end of the world? I mean, you know, and so that's what looks like may have happened here. It's certainly what they were alleging. And that is that if this neighbor who works for animal control didn't live nearby, there wouldn't have been 30 violations and $30,000 in fines. I suspect that the settlement agreement says that they don't admit anything was done wrong. They're just paying $125,000 to settle the dispute that they have with different entities and the owner of Miska, or Miska, the cat. So I'm curious about the name Miska, if it means anything. It might in another language. I've known people who've named their animals very, very creative names. If you watch the credits at the end of my videos, you know that I have Milo and Wolfie, I mentioned, two Shetland sheepdogs that I had for quite a while, but they both passed away. And of course, Milo, I used to jokingly call him Milos. I'm a big admirer of the movie Amadeus, and Milos Forman directed it. And of course, the movie's about Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And Wolfie, of course, is the other dog. Wolfgang was his full name. So Milos and Wolfgang.
My
or
frame rate is horrible.
Milo and Wolfie.
But
There you go.
like if
That's
I
a
play
secret.
this
I'm
in
not sure if I've told you
118
that before,
in
but that's
118,
just
I get
between
like
you
solid
and me. So
60
there you go.
FPS.
Caleb and
But the
Barbara, thanks for
arrows
sending
that
this
I have to
from
follow don't work.
KIRO7, the owner of Miska, the notorious
But if I play in
Bellevue
1.8,
cat, wins
the arrows do work, but the frame rate
$125,000
is awful.
settlement after being told she owes them $30,000. Questions or comments? Put them below. Let's talk to you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
For me, actually, it's currently 6:33 in the afternoon. But you have a good sleep, Rolly Dog, and I hope to see you again, yeah?
Probably sit around and watch the cars rust. Welcome once again to Leto's Law. Here's Steve Leto.
Thanks for the follow-up.
This is a follow-up video to one I did not too long ago about mutual combat. And I asked the question, is mutual combat legal anywhere in the United States? 50 states in America, is it legal in any of them? And I said that I was confused by this because people often tell me that it is legal in 2 states. Illegal in 48, but legal in 2. And they always cite Texas and Washington as being examples of the 2 states. And I found websites that show a chart, only 2 states where it's legal. And I pointed out that I couldn't find any laws saying it was legal. And the first reaction I got, and I had a lot of people go, Steve, you got that backwards. You don't need a law saying something's legal if it's, you know, you can do anything you want. I don't need a law telling me something's legal. Well, the fact that assault is illegal in all 50 states, you would need an exemption to assault for mutual combat to be legal. So you would need something telling you that mutual combat is legal, because otherwise the participants could both be arrested for assault. So yes, in that setting, you would need a law telling you it is legal. I'm not saying you always need a law to make something legal. I'm merely saying that to overcome the assault allegation, you'd need a law making it legal. So I said, I poked around, and I found statutes in both states, and in one state, it didn't seem to apply at all. And in Texas, there was a thing that kind of implied that you could be involved in mutual combat so long as nobody got hurt. And a lot of people didn't actually watch the video. They responded to the headline, and I had about 20 people email me the statute that I read in the video. And they said, have you seen this? I said, yeah, it was in the video. Oh, sorry, didn't watch the video. Okay. So I also had another guy send me some very angry emails. He was having a one-sided argument with himself. And he said, obviously, it's legal in all 50 states. Otherwise, all us martial artists would be in jail. And he starts telling me about how he's a Taekwondo practitioner. At least he used to be. And I often forget that I've said things on my videos that I don't talk about a lot. And I always assume if I mention it once, people know this. I did a video a while back about how I used to take Taekwondo lessons for a few years. I actually taught Taekwondo. I have a 2nd-degree black belt in Taekwondo, and I actually held the belt up in one of my videos to show it so that it was funny. And I admit I do not practice anymore. I've not been to an actual class led by a master in quite some time. I still remember the forms. I can do most of the things.
Again?
I tried to kick over my head until I wind up in the hospital. But I mentioned in the video specifically that many states do have an exemption to the assault laws for things like boxing and football and rugby, which are the examples I gave where there's people participating in a sport that involves contact.
Oh, no.
And the guy who is sending me the angry emails about martial artists said that otherwise we'd all be in jail. So obviously it's legal in all 50 states. Well, if you can't see the parallel between boxing and martial arts, we'll move on. But someone sent me an extremely interesting case. And I got to credit William for this. But just to make sure this is very, very clear, and I understand that this is an example of me going deep into the weeds on something, but I think most people who are interested in the legal system and how the legal system works will find this interesting.
I don't think I'm going to be able to get this
So
in
let's
time.
back up to the very beginning. In most states in America, all states I'm sure, it is illegal to assault somebody or to batter somebody. And states have different definitions as to when an assault becomes a battery and so on. But generally speaking, if I whack you, that's assault and battery.
All right, that's that right.
So I went to the Justia.com website just
And
to get
rip.
the most basic explanation of this. Because I said that, generally speaking, you cannot consent to a battery. I can't say, go ahead, hit me in the face as hard as you can. Go ahead. And if you hit me in the face as hard as you can, there's a chance that you can still be prosecuted for that. And we won't get into that for just a second. So keep in mind that in certain criminal circumstances, an apparent criminal act may have been committed, but an essential requirement of the crime is the victim was opposed to the crime occurring. When this happens, one defense available to a defendant is that the victim consented to the act, and thus the act was not a crime. So I've had several people say, Steve, if I consented to it, it can't be an assault, it can't be a battery, because those are unconsented. Depends on the definition in your state. Many states don't say it's unconsented. So some crimes for which consent may be a defense include those that result in bodily harm, including assault and battery. In very limited circumstances, victims can be held to consent to these crimes. One common example is physical contact sports. Participants in a sports game are deemed to have consented to the physical contact and possible bodily harm that is an essential element of their sport. So, for instance, boxing, martial arts, hockey, football, rugby, basketball. Okay? Keep in mind, the elements of consent in these situations are: one, there was no possibility of serious bodily injury. And you might say, Steve, I see people get hurt all the time in hockey. Well, serious bodily injury, though? How often does it actually happen? How many games do you watch before you see someone carried off in a stretcher? I know it's happened, but how common is it? Two, the harm was reasonably foreseeable and the risk reasonably accepted. So someone goes into the game, into the boxing match, into the sparring match in the Taekwondo school, knowing the risk that they're taking, and they decided to accept it. Three, the individual received a benefit that justified the consent. There's some benefit to me sparring with a partner in Taekwondo. There's some benefit to boxing. There's some benefit to me playing hockey. In order to establish consent in these circumstances, 3 requirements must be present, and I just told you about them. Since these requirements are highly specific, they apply only in very limited circumstances, and typically some sort of athletic event. For instance, boxers or rugby players can be held to consent to battery that results from their participations therein. Now, what I was getting at originally with mutual combat was the idea that someone can walk up to somebody else and go, hey, I got a problem with you, buddy. And they say, I got a problem with you. And you say, let's go outside and settle this. And the two of you are going to go out there and beat each other up to get it out of your systems. That's mutual combat. We're talking about the mutual combat where somebody goes outside, or a duel setting, like in the old days, a duel, okay? So William sent me a note and said, Steve, check out this case from South Carolina, which I think answers many of your questions. And this does, because in my video I said the statutes all say that assault is illegal in all 50 states. And there appear to be some slight exceptions in some states that don't come right out and say that, yes, you can get involved in mutual combat, but there are settings where it might be considered that. And I said in my video, if it doesn't come from statutory law, it's got to come from case law, meaning that there's cases out there that say this is allowable in this state, and it goes way back in the case law, okay? Case called the State of South Carolina versus Taylor. It's a 2003 case. We'll talk about the case where the testimony varied widely regarding many of the relevant facts, but all witnesses agreed that at some point in the evening, these two people began arguing. The defendant testified that he was pushed by the other guy into a counter. All parties agreed that the defendant intervened either physically or verbally to stop a fight between two other people that was escalating. And then that man and the defendant engaged in a violent physical confrontation. The witnesses disagree about who started the fight and about its intensity at various points. At trial, one man testified the fight began when the defendant sucker punched the other guy. He reported, and that's when the defendant said, you know, I'm not afraid of you, big man. And then he said, I'm not afraid of you either. And that's when the defendant said, we're going to hell or jail. And all of a sudden he just hauled off and punched the other man in the head while he was sitting down. Now the defendant testified that the other man threw the first punch and that he tried to withdraw from the fight. But the man would not release him and continued to beat him. Other witnesses asserted that the other man, not the defendant, attempted to quit. All witnesses agree that someone insisted the two take the fight outside, and they continued the struggle on the porch of the trailer and into the front yard. I don't suppose the word trailer there should surprise anybody, but at some point thereafter, the defendant drew a knife and began stabbing the other person. The autopsy report disclosed the man was stabbed 15 times and died of those wounds. The autopsy reported that that man was 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighed approximately 270 pounds. Physical examination of the defendant a few days after the fight revealed that he had undergone abdominal surgery in the weeks preceding the incident after a car accident, but indicated no cuts or bruises. The defendant was substantially smaller than the victim. At trial, the defendant admitted that he had done all this, but he said he did it in self-defense. Now, you're wondering, where does mutual combat come in? We're getting there. The trial judge charged the jury on self-defense, but also on mutual combat. And he said, we also have a law in this state regarding what is sometimes referred to as mutual combat. The premise is, in the law, where two persons are mutually engaged in combat and one kills the other, and at the time of the killing is being maliciously done as murder. If it be done in the sudden heat of passion upon sufficient provocation or without premeditation, it would be manslaughter. One who provokes or initiates an assault and does not escape from the liability may find in self-defense a defense to a prosecution arising with respect to injury or death of their adversary. And where a person voluntarily participates in mutual combat for purposes other than protection, you cannot justify or excuse the killing of the adversary in the course of such conduct on the ground of self-defense, regardless of what the extremity or even peril he may be introduced to in the process of the combat. Unless, in either event, before the homicide is committed, the person withdraws and does so in good faith, declines the conflict, and either by word or by act makes that known to their adversary. Then, if the adversary pursues them, the aggressor may, upon the belief that they're in danger, they can injure or kill the adversary in defense. So, here's the thing. The man got convicted of murder and possession of a weapon, and then the question is, did the trial court err in delivering a charge on mutual combat to the jury? And if so, was the defendant prejudiced by the charge? And here's the point. Here, the mutual combat argument went against him, because they said that the concept of mutual combat in South Carolina means that if you've entered into mutual combat with somebody and you win because the other person doesn't survive the combat, you can be charged with murder. And if you say, no, it's self-defense, no, you were involved in mutual combat. It's not self-defense. So mutual combat here would hurt you. It's a description of a kind of a fight you can get into, but not legally. However, the reason this is interesting is that the court then goes on to a long explanation of what mutual combat is. So, in general, the trial judge is required to charge only the current and correct law of South Carolina. The doctrine of mutual combat has existed in South Carolina since at least 1843, but has fallen out of common use in recent years. It says the case law does establish there must be mutual intent and willingness to fight to constitute mutual combat. Mutual intent is manifested by the acts and conduct of the parties and circumstances attending and leading up to the combat. Whether or not mutual combat exists is significant because the plea of self-defense is not available to one who kills another in mutual combat. In order to claim self-defense, the defendant must be without fault in bringing on the difficulty. So mutual combat is not something you'd want to argue in South Carolina. It simply means you cannot argue self-defense. But that doesn't mean it's legal. They're saying the concept exists, but it exists to overcome the argument of self-defense. So they do talk about it in other settings. The doctrine has most often been applied in situations where the defendant and decedent bear a grudge against each other before the fight in which one of them is killed. And they cite a case there from 1977. South Carolina has not explicitly required that the fight arise out of a pre-existing dispute, but other states have made that a prerequisite to mutual combat explicit. Texas and Colorado adhere to the rule that an antecedent agreement to fight must exist for the court to charge mutual combat. So again, Texas and Colorado are saying that mutual combat is a thing, but it's a thing for which you can be charged and you'll lose the ability to claim self-defense. Georgia has limited the application of mutual combat in another way by holding that mutual combat arises only when the parties are armed with deadly weapons, and that mutual combat does not arise from a mere fist fight or scuffle. In both those cases, right above, the disputes that ended in death began as fistfights, and so the court found that mutual combat charge was erroneous. So they're saying even to use it, you got a very specific grounds. As mentioned, mutual combat acts as a bar to self-defense because it requires mutual agreement to fight on equal terms for purposes other than protection. This is inherently inconsistent with the concept of self-defense and directly conflicts with the no-fault finding necessary to establish self-defense. So, conclusion is, although the court charged self-defense properly in this case, that charge was negated by the court's unwarranted charge of mutual combat. We find that the court's mutual combat charge acted as a limit on the petitioner's ability to claim self-defense and prejudiced him by transferring the state's burden to disprove self-defense, forcing him to prove self-defense in violation of case law. Therefore, they reversed the case, sent it back down for trial. So, in this case, it's a murder case, and the man said it was self-defense. And the prosecution and the court apparently said, no, it wasn't. We think it's mutual combat. And by making it mutual combat, they took away the guy's ability to effectively argue it was self-defense. So mutual combat is not something you can legally do in South Carolina, but it's something you can be accused of doing that will hurt you if you go to trial. And the same is apparently true also in Georgia and Texas and Colorado and a bunch of other states. So the big question still is, are there any places where two consenting adults can go outside and get into just a fight by agreement, beat the senses out of each other, and maybe have one of them go to the hospital? And when the cops show up, you go, mutual combat. And if the guy on the ground goes, that the police are going to have to walk away because there's no. And as of right now, I don't think there is. Now, I had several people send me a note and say, Steve, what about Chicago? In Chicago, there's a recent incident where there was some kind of fray, and the police got involved, and they filed their reports, and the prosecutors declined to prosecute. And in the news stories, the police said the lack of prosecution was because it was mutual combat. The prosecution said, no, we didn't charge because there was not enough evidence to support the charges. And what is quite possibly happening there is that someone is calling it mutual combat because that's the best way to describe a situation where the police get involved because a bunch of people do something wrong, and it appears that everyone is kind of involved at the same level, everyone kind of suffered the same amount, and no one will testify. And I had several people ask me, they said, Steve, let's suppose I got into a fight with somebody. Mutual combat. We decided to go out back and settle it like men. Or like women, assuming you're a woman. So you go out there and you're involved in fisticuffs, right? And eventually, someone calls the police. We saw these two people wrestling outside. It looked ugly. Cops show up. You both stand up, and it's like a cartoon. You got those things spinning around your head and bird noises and stuff. And the police go, who started this? And neither of you say a word. Now, the police walk up, and they can see clearly the two of you are fighting. You've got bloodied knuckles, and they've got weird bruises on their face that just happen to match the shape of your knuckles, and vice versa. Okay? They know what you guys are doing, and there's no question you were doing it. And the police say, well, we want to prosecute somebody. Will you testify? Person doesn't answer. Will you testify? Person doesn't answer. Now, technically speaking, and I had several people ask me this, Steve, if the participants refuse to testify, can they still be prosecuted? Theoretically, yes. There's no law that says a victim must testify to get a conviction. But that's usually the best evidence you have if they're willing to testify. If they're not willing to testify, you can try to bring them in and force them to testify, except, of course, in a situation where either of them could be charged, they're probably both going to take the fifth. So instead of going down that long and fruitless road, you just go, mutual combat. Doesn't mean it's legal in the sense that there's a law on the books saying mutual combat is legal. And again, I'm not saying there's got to be a law on the books to say everything is legal. I'm simply saying to overcome the presumption that when you're hammering on somebody, that you're assaulting them and or battering them. So there you go. So there is a situation where the courts talk about mutual combat. And this is a great case sent to me by William out of South Carolina.
All right, so you
but
lose
you'll
money.
notice that the mutual combat ruling was something the guy wanted to get thrown out because it hurt him and his ability to defend himself legally with the claim of self-defense. So again, I'm still looking for case law or a statute in the United States that says specifically people can willingly go out and engage in a fist fight or something more violent as long as they both agree that it is mutual combat. And if they do that, neither of them will be prosecuted. And if anybody can produce that case or that statute for me, I would love to see it because I suspect it does not exist in the United States. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Leto's.
Did you know that bananas are radioactive? Yeah, I didn't either until recently. Turns out they're so radioactive that they regularly set off alarms at customs and border control checkpoints. There's even a unit of measuring radiation named after them, the BED, or banana equivalent dose. So today, I think it's time that we had a very serious talk about the radiation that's happening in your kitchen, cause not to worry you or anything, but the most dangerous thing in there might just be your fruit bowl. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, the show that's going nuclear with knowledge. Friends, today on Food Theory, it's story time. A story that starts with U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, who for years had themselves a problem. When shipping containers enter the country, they're usually scanned using sensors designed to detect radiation to prevent people from sneaking nuclear material into the country. No more radiation for us. We have enough. Thank you very much. And when they do detect high levels of radiation in a shipping container, they launch a full-blown investigation to inspect the cargo and make sure that nothing funny is going on. Except very often, something funny was going on. Most of the containers that tripped radiation alarms turned out to be full of bananas, which wound up costing them millions of dollars in wasted investigations. Eventually, they worked out a way to differentiate bananas from uranium, but still, why was this happening in the first place? Well, here's the thing. While the US has yet to find a banana bomb, the bananas were, in fact, radioactive. Radioactive enough to trip the alarms legitimately. And sure, while US Customs and Border Control isn't worried about those bananas entering the country, should we be worried about those bananas entering our bodies? How big of a concern is radiation in the kitchen? Could our fruit bowl be hazardous? It turns out the answer is yes. Your fruit bowl may indeed be the most dangerous thing in your kitchen, but to understand why and what level of threat this thing poses, we have to start at the beginning. First, I think it's important to talk about what exactly it means for something to be radioactive. Pop culture is full of glowing green spiders and gamma ray monsters, but that's all fiction. What does it really mean for something to be radioactive? No, this is actually something that I touched on in a previous food theory about what's safe to eat after a nuclear fallout, but radiation comes in two varieties. First is non-ionizing radiation, the low-energy, safe kind of radiation. This includes everything from visible light to radio and Wi-Fi signals. Your microwave oven, also part of that non-ionizing low-energy radiation category. On the flip side is ionizing radiation, the higher energy stuff. This is what people are worried about when they say that something is radioactive. As you probably remember from science class, all matter is made up of atoms, and all atoms carry energy, but some atoms carry around a bit too much energy. This makes them unstable and prone to decay. When it does, it releases that energy in the form of ionizing radiation, the dangerous stuff. And if you're exposed to that high energy burst, it can actually mess up the atoms in your body. It's all a question of how big of a dose you're getting. Ionizing radiation is harmful because it can actually damage the atoms in your body. But given that each individual cell is composed of hundreds of trillions of atoms, and each of those cells is just one of over 30 trillion cells that make up your whole body, a few atoms get knocked around here and there isn't going to make that much of a difference. It takes a lot of radiation to cause substantial cell damage. For instance, you ever have an X-ray? Well, that's a form of ionizing radiation being shot at your body. That's okay, because the amount of ionizing radiation you're hit with when getting an X-ray isn't big enough to cause real harm to our bodies. Unless, of course, you're getting a lot of X-rays. And by a lot, I mean a lot. facts. According to the American College of Radiology, the recommended safe level of diagnostic radiation
that's just
exposure
funny.
for a single lifetime is equivalent to about 10,000 chest x-rays or 20,000 dental x-rays. Now, I don't care how bad your teeth are, some tells me that you're not going to need that amount of dental work. But even if you never get an x-ray in your life, you're still being exposed to ionizing radiation all the time in incredibly small doses from radioactive minerals in your environment. This is often described as background radiation, and this isn't the sort of thing that you can escape by going off the grid and living in the woods. It's just a natural thing because
It occurs to me that I could probably make money just by buying them at 500,000 or flipping them for like 5,500.
Back to bananas. Bananas are packed with potassium. A typical banana boasts a whopping 422 milligrams of potassium, and a tiny fraction of all potassium atoms, around 1 in 8,500, are the unstable radioactive isotope potassium-40. Now, 1 in every 8,500 atoms might seem like a small number, and it is, but remember, a typical banana has 6.5 times 10 to the 21st potassium atoms. That is 6.5 billion atoms times a trillion. Every second, hundreds of potassium atoms in that banana are decaying, producing ionizing radiation. And that's why when you're dealing with shipping containers that hold over 500 million bananas, you get enough radiation to trip sensors designed to detect nuclear material.
Auction expired not found, so it's not refreshing fast enough as my guess?
Are we really looking at from a single one? Not much, to be honest. It's roughly 1% of what you get from background radiation in a typical day. Now, could you die from the radiation inside of a banana? Sure. Theoretically, you could absorb a lethal dose of banana radiation if you ate like 50 million bananas. That's not an exaggeration, by the way. A banana has 1/10,000,000th of a sievert, the standard unit of radiation. Exposure levels around 5 sieverts is lethal. So if you do the math, it's literally 50 million bananas, 13 million pounds of food, 5.9 million kilos. Considering that the average American eats around 2,000 pounds of food per year, you would need 13 million pounds of bananas during an entire lifetime, or heck, even 50 lifetimes. In other words, eat up, my friends. Radiation from your bananas is not something that you have to worry about. But radiation from your countertop is. Years back, granite countertops, you know, those things you paid extra to have installed? Yeah, they became the subject of media attention when it was found that some of them were releasing radon.
In this case, we're not only looking at the radon that's coming out of it, but to a woman that's recently pregnant, we're getting gamma radiation out of it that really has a direct impact on the fetus development.
Gamma radiation is a type of ionizing radiation, and the radon mentioned in that clip is a radioactive gas from this part of the periodic table over here, the noble gases. And in a not very noble move, radon is a colorless, odorless gas known to cause cancer. In fact, radon is the second most common cause of lung cancer, right behind smoking. Why, though, would it be coming from countertops? Well, remember what we just talked about. Granite is mined out of the ground, a ground that, as I mentioned, has radium and radioactive materials sprinkled throughout. So, should we be all tearing out our granite countertops and refinishing our kitchens to avoid dying of lung cancer? The answer is no, at least probably no. Studies looking at radon exposure from granite countertops find that, on average, the concentrations aren't high enough to be dangerous. However, on average,
with
is
power
no guarantee of
twice.
safety. The
There's
concentration
no way
of
that works,
radioactivity
right?
and radon emissions tends to vary from slab to slab. Makes sense. Certain regions have higher levels of radioactivity than others, so two seemingly identical slabs of granite could have vastly different levels of radioactivity. In most cases,
Fuck,
you
I
are
gotta
gonna be
try.
absolutely
Nope.
safe, but you just might be unlucky and have gotten a slab with a particularly high concentration, which is why lots of people have homes with radon detection systems, and why radon checks tend to be an important part of the home buying process. Another source of radioactivity to be on the lookout for: old ceramics. Yeah, those antiques you inherited from grandma might be giving you a third eye. What was commonly referred to as Vaseline glass, custard glass, jadeite glass, Burmese glass, or, since it was in vogue during the 1930s, depression glass, are all varieties of what most accurately is described as uranium glass, which, surprise surprise, is glass that was made with uranium.
A very small
And
amount of
other things
uranium.
Too, obviously, but
You shouldn't
like up to
have it in your pocket, but
25%
it's fine.
uranium, which is about
Up to
100%
no,
more
not
uranium than you want in your
25%.
home. I mean, the uranium does make it look very
The
cool. It
grams
also
per
lets it glow under
pound.
black lights, but you know, it's also emitting dangerous cancer-causing radiation. Don't worry though, not all fluorescent glassware relied on uranium for that coloring effect. Some of it was also made with lead. Yay! Speaking a cookware you inherited from grandma, if your kitchen is stocked with stuff made prior to the 1970s, some ceramic dishes were made using glazes that were colored using radioactive isotopes. A lot of manufacturers decided that the best way to get those brightly colored glazes was to use chemical cocktails that, whoopsie, happen to be radioactive. Cause let's really be honest with ourselves, what would you rather have? A nice brightly colored casserole dish or not cancer? Interestingly, different colors of the classic dinnerware contain different concentrations of uranium oxide. Studies have shown that red apparently is the worst. And you know how you're not supposed to put acidic foods like tomato sauce in a cast iron skillet because the chemical acidity of the tomato is going to cause trace amounts of metal to leach into the sauce, thereby giving it a metallic taste? Well, something similar can happen if your uranium oxide coated ceramics come into contact with acidic
Yes,
foods.
they are
So
my
I tell ya,
favorite little
it's gonna be
diamond
a lot
boy.
worse than just ruining the flavor of your spaghetti. Let's just say that any amount of uranium entering your body is the kind of thing that you're going to want to avoid. So if you're going to eat off of these things, stay away from high acidity foods like spaghetti or blueberry coffee. Or you know what, better yet, just trash them. I don't think grandma's going to mind. Inheriting cancer plates is probably not a legacy worth passing on, no matter how much sentimental value they might carry. So like I said at the beginning of this episode, your fruit bowl is probably the most dangerous thing in your kitchen. Not the bananas inside the bowl, even though they are radioactive, but the bowl itself. Oh yeah, and also your countertop. Or you could always go the safest route and just not eat in your kitchen. Treat yourself to a radioactivity-free lunch. And hey, while you're at it, make sure you're getting even more free stuff out of that lunch by scanning your receipt using our sponsor for today's episode, Fetch. Fetch Rewards is a super easy-to-use free app where you earn free rewards on literally anything you buy. And I really do mean anything. Need to replace a bunch of old family ceramics after watching today's episode? Me too. That's not even a joke. Me too. And regardless of whether you're going to Bed Bath & Beyond or Target for all that new cookware, with Fetch, you can actually scan the receipt and get points that you can then redeem for hundreds of rewards, like Amazon and Visa gift cards. Ordering stuff online? Totally cool. Fetch works with e-receipts too.
318
You're
gold.
already
Okay.
buying stuff anyway. You've already done the hard part of spending your money, so why not take a few extra seconds to earn some of that money back using Fetch? Scan the receipts so today's purchases can become tomorrow's rewards. Stocking up on groceries? That's worth points. Treating yourself to a meal? Points. Trip to Home Depot? More points. Online purchase from Amazon? You guessed it, worth points that counts towards your next Amazon gift card. And not only does Fetch reward you for making purchases that you're already making, but Fetch has an offer right now for all of the viewers of this
512.
channel. Install the app and use the code FOODTheory to get 3,000 points when you scan your first receipt. Or you can just use the link down in the description. Again, it's free, it's fast, it's easy, and it's helping you earn back money that you're spending on purchases you're making anyway. It is a win-win-win. So again, that's the link down in the description below. Tell them you're a loyal theorist with the code FOODTheory and get yourself a bonus 3,000 points when you scan your first receipt. Thanks again to Fetch Rewards for sponsoring this episode, and thanks again to you for watching this episode. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go remove some radioactive dishware from my cabinets, and then go buy some non-radioactive dishware, and then scan the receipts with Fetch. So
Enchanted,
yeah.
enchanted.
Anyway, remember, it's all just a theory. A food
Enchanted.
theory. Bon appetit.
320. It's 320. That's actually gonna be 512. So 320 plus 512 is 700 and something.
Food Theory's
320
one-year
plus
YouTube anniversary is
512.
fast approaching, but here's a
800
little secret, friends.
832.
Tim and I actually shot the first Food Theory episode 2 years ago. See, back in the summer of 2019, we made an episode about all-you-can-eat buffets, just to see if this whole wacky Food Theory thing had legs. Yes, that is me on a green screen sporting my pre-St. Jude livestream haircut. Our worry at the time was that it would be tough to make Food Theory episodes visually interesting. Game Theory gets to show a bunch of game footage and characters. Film Theory gets to show a bunch of TV and movie clips, but food just kind of sits there, you know? Like, I guess you could do an Italian theme to like a spaghetti or pizza episode, but really not a whole lot to go off of. But I do think it's
There we
safe
go.
to say that at this point our fantastic editors found a way to make it work in the traditional theorist style. So green screen Matt Pat went the way of the dinosaur pretty much immediately, though legend has it that if you say his name 3 times into a mirror at 3 a.m., green screen Matt Pat will appear to you. I am gonna make you regret those words. So anyway, we made this episode back in 2019, then a year later
Prices
in
have gone up.
2020 we launched this channel in the middle of a global pandemic. And since nobody was going to restaurants at the time, we decided maybe it wasn't the best idea to lead off with a buffet episode like we had planned. But now that buffets are opening back up from sea to shining sea, we're taking this opportunity to release the lost episode of Food Theory, what was supposed to be one of the first Food Theory episodes ever. So please enjoy this test pilot episode of Food Theory and admire just how far development of an idea can come. Because boy howdy, this episode is a lot different from what the show eventually launched as. And as an added bonus, I'm also packaging in the rough, semi-incomplete first draft of the Food Theory intro. See if you can spot all 1 trillion things that we changed before we landed on the final polished version. Internet, welcome to Food Theory, the show that stuffs you so full of knowledge you'll wish you were wearing sweatpants. And since this is YouTube, studies show that there's actually a 41% chance that you are wearing yourself a pair of these, so you are in good company, my friends. Today's topic is one that I take very seriously and that affects literally every single one of you out there watching right now. Now, I'm not talking about serious stuff like GMOs or superfoods that promise to make you live forever. No, the secrets that I'm sharing today will serve you much better than that. In fact, I hold the keys to the kingdom of the all-you-can-eat buffet. When I tell people
they're so
that
cute, I
love
they
Vegas,
talk to each other.
They ask me if it's because of all the cool casinos or drink glasses that are literally the height of a 6-year-old. I tell them no, I love Vegas because it's the mecca of the all-you-can-eat meal. And after putting some serious study time across a lot of different buffets, I can tell you the single definitive scientific strategy for getting the absolute most out of any all-you-can-eat buffet you visit. Be it Golden Corral to my personal childhood favorite, Ponderosa.
I wonder if I can relocate our cobblestone goal in here.
That exist. So today, consider this video your definitive guide to beating the house. If beating the house is you eating a lot at an all-you-can-eat restaurant. Do you want that fried chicken or you want the mashed potatoes? Do you want the spaghetti and meatballs or the mac and cheese? The cake or the pie? Today, the answer is E, all of the above. Today, we're exploring the very clear strategies to getting the most bang for your buck out of these sorts of restaurants, but also exploring some of the devious ways that the buffets themselves are trying to stop you from doing exactly that. Today, it is us versus them versus us, honestly, because let's face it, if you're stuffing everything you possibly can into your gut every time you're going to one of these restaurants, you're punishing your own body just as much as you're punishing the restaurant. In fact, the restaurant doesn't feel it at all, but you're gonna feel it a whole heck of a lot. But that doesn't mean we don't still need to know those answers for science,
prices are
for our
skyrocketing,
wallets, and for our own damn pride. Now, to begin, we need to get back to basics. How businesses work and how, in a world of all-you-can-eat buffets, they make any sort of money. Because in theory, they're literally offering you the option of like 25 different entrees. Well, the basic premise of a buffet, or really any restaurant, quite honestly, is that the food you eat has to cost less at the end of the day than the money you spent to get that meal. It's pretty basic economics, right? But a lot of buffets offer stuff that seem pretty darn pricey, like steaks and seafood, crab legs. So they also have to make sure that when you're getting full, you're not necessarily getting full on those items. So how can the buffets manipulate your stomach? Well, primarily they do that by manipulating your mind. Loosen up those belts and a few notches, ladies and gentlemen, and let's start by taking a look at the basic layout of your standard buffet. Bring up that highly scientific buffet infographic. It's a thing of beauty, ladies and gentlemen. Here's your typical buffet layout, where we'll be able to see in a second that there are a few different things going on here. The basics are that at the far ends of the buffet, typically where you'd start and end your meal, you're immediately confronted with a bunch of carbohydrates, starches. Here, actually, let's roll some footage of us taking a little visit to the local buffet establishment, and you can actually see how consistently this plays out. On one extreme of that buffet, you get pastas, you get macaroni, you get corn, and on the other extreme end, we're presented with a loaf of bread, a bunch of muffins, a bit of toast. So these are our capstone carbohydrates, which are put there intentionally for two specific reasons.
Wait for my mana to recharge.
They're cheap. They are the cheapest things to make on the menu. Bread and pasta can be made in massive quantities, they keep well for long periods of time, and it doesn't matter if the restaurant has to throw some of it away at the end of the day. It is not a big loss for them. Other things to look out for at the ends of the buffets are going to be the things like rice dishes, which you'll also see providing a buffer around some of the more expensive meat dishes. Like, for example, right here, where this beef stir fry is sandwiched between cheaper pot stickers on the left and fried rice on the right. To put the cost difference of starches versus other stuff into perspective, rice, 48 cents per pound, corn, 43 cents per pound, potatoes, 1 cent per pound. All pretty darn inexpensive. Even if you somehow manage to eat 5 pounds of this stuff during your all-you-can-eat trip, that buffet is still going to make a great profit margin off of your dollars. By comparison, though, the lowest price of wholesale beef, $2.80 per pound in 2019. So if you're eating pounds of steak, you're starting to cost the restaurant a whole heck of a lot more. As an added bonus, carbs tend to take up a lot of room in your stomach and also on your plate. They're light, they're fluffy, they're absorbent, which means that they are delicious, but it also means that they're going to add sludgy material in your stomach, expanding and making you full. It's maybe not worth it to go back for a 4th helping of that hand-sliced kielbasa. For evidence of why this actually helps the face, I direct your attention to the satiety index, an actual index of the relative satisfaction and fullness of how those foods make you feel. It's honestly worth doing a whole episode on this in particular because it can really help you with stuff like losing weight. But today, there are a couple takeaways from looking at this thing. In measuring all kinds of foods from all kinds of food categories, including desserts, veggies, different types of bread, etc., the developers of this satiety index actually concluded a few interesting things, like that oranges are more satisfying than bananas, strangely enough, but also that the foods that make you feel most satisfied are carbohydrates. So, by giving you lots of bread right up front, the buffet is actually already signaling to your body to tell it, end this meal, you have had enough. Stop right there. Shut your mouth hole, shut it down. On top of all of that, which is already a lot, those rolls, potatoes, huge mounds of rice jambalaya, they're all taking up huge amounts of space on your plate, meaning that you have less room for all the other stuff, the good stuff, the higher quality, more expensive stuff when you arrive to it. All of this leads to the first major rule of maximizing your buffet experience. Rule number 1, skip the bread. Skip the bread entirely. Don't be pulled in by the pasta and say, piss off to those potatoes. We are beelining it to the carving station, my friend. Which, actually, incidentally, is where buffets are imposing their second major mind game on you, portion control. It's not enough to just hide the expensive products on the buffet, and if you've been to a Vegas buffet, you'll know that a lot of times the good stuff is practically hidden in a back alley behind the casino. But when you do eventually find that expensive cut of meat or provide the secret password to receive your king crab legs, it's still not usually you who gets to decide how much is going on your plate. This, ladies and gentlemen, is where the manned carving station comes into play, where the expensive meat is usually doled out in a much more reasonable portion than the slab of beef that most of us would like to serve ourselves on that plate. Excuse me, sir, what meats do you have on the buffet today? New York strip, ribeye, skirt steak? I'll take all of them. Then they give you a little portion, and then you're like, please, sir, I'd like some more. It's like a modern-day Oliver. That, ladies and gentlemen, acting. The number 1 protein item that you're likely to find in your buffet line is chicken, because, quite frankly, it's the cheapest, 89 cents a pound. And beyond chicken, they usually don't trust you to serve yourself. The carving station is this place usually manned by a tall, imposing guy who's essentially the bouncer of the meats. Well, he's there to serve you as much as you'd like, in theory, and thereby give you this premium eating experience. Oh, look, someone's carving my meat. What he's really there to do is, 1, control the size of the portion you're eating so that you can't eat a whole prime rib by yourself, or even worse, waste that prime rib, take too much and then end up throwing it away. And 2, every time you want to get another helping of roast beast, you have to ask a human being to give it to you. Going up for seconds? Hey, it's buffet, do your thing. Going up for fifths? Now your brain's telling you that the meat bouncer is judging you for your gluttony. Internally, he's like, well, look who's back. You want another serving? There are people dying of hunger all over the world, but sure, you just cramming that fatback bacon down your gullet. No problem. And so instead of asking for more like you want, you instead slink away and mumble that you'll just top up with another one of those yeast rolls. In this way, the buffet can still give you the illusion of luxury items as being all you can eat, but serving you the most expensive things in small, controlled portions. Another way that buffets do this is by serving you things on pre-portioned plates, which either take up a ton of room on your existing plate, or you have to dedicate a whole hand to holding that plate. In this way, they keep your portions small and ensure that you can only pick up like 1, 2, maybe max 4 of these items every time you return to the buffet. The last manipulation along these lines that's happening right there on the buffet line is literally from the second you start. The plate you pick up. Plates and bowls at all-you-can-eat buffets tend to be smaller than the plates that you get at other restaurants. Now, while we might initially think that this wouldn't make a difference, since, I can get as many plates as I want, that's actually not the case. According to one study, simply giving subjects a larger bowl for their ice cream led to them serving themselves and consuming 31% more ice cream than those who were given a smaller bowl. And those that were given larger serving spoons ate 15% more. For proof of this principle in action, think about all those self-serve frozen yogurt places that are all the rage these days. My favorite is Yogurtland, where I am, no joke, a platinum card-carrying member. Since 2013, in fact. But when I go in, I know that the bowl sizes that they give out are enormous. I fill them up. Otherwise, when I go, it's just got a little swirl in the bottom. Then you get to the end of the line and suddenly you're paying by the weight of the yogurt in your cup, and the whole idea is that you just realized, oh wait, I served myself literally 12 pounds of yogurt. This is like a $50 bowl of ice cream. But hey, you know what? It's healthy. Because it's yogurt. It's not. Anyway, in the same way that Yogurtland wants me to buy like 700 ounces of yogurt and hot fudge in one sitting, which is how I got to be a platinum card member in the first place, the buffet actually wants to trick me into doing the exact opposite. They give you smaller plates, they give you smaller bowls, even smaller silverware sometimes, in an effort to get you to put less on your plate and thereby eat less. This should make sense if you've ever tried this trick on a diet, where one of the most well-known tips is to put your food on smaller plates. Average dinner plates sold in stores here in the US are around 12 inches today, but buffets tend to use plates that are in the 9 to 10 inch range, a little smaller than average in the US, and enough to take our plate area from 113 to 78 square inches, meaning that you have over 20% less space for the food you want to put on that thing. That real life buffet example that we went to, plates 9, 10 inches, boom, right on time. Research in real life for the win. Additionally, every time you have to get up and go back to the buffet, you have to overcome some social stigma of getting more food, which, even if that exists in your head, you imagine that the people around you, that your server, that everyone will notice, that they'll start judging you for it. So the takeaway of all these psychological mind games, first, know that they're mind games that aren't accidentally there. They are intentionally placed between you and that 6th helping of spiral cut ham. Once you recognize that you're playing a game, release that shame, ladies and gentlemen. Make friends with that meat bouncer and play like a champ. When you go up for helpings 2 and 3, mention casually that you're an ultra marathon runner. The last pro tip for becoming the ultimate master of the buffet is that to perform well, you need to prepare well. Like the professional bikers of the world train for the Tour de France, so shall you prepare your body for the fried chicken at the Golden Corral. At the end of the day, the biggest thing that's standing in our way isn't the psychological tricks or the peer pressure or heck, not even the bouncer. It's our own bodies. You may not consider buffet eating as a personal challenge, and to be quite honest, that's probably a good idea for you in the long run. But again, this whole episode is about optimizing, making the restaurant hurt because you ate your meal there.
And I just fucked that up, didn't I?
You know that feeling at a buffet where your stomach is like, hey guys, you know, we can probably stop now. And then you go up for 2 more plates and then it's like, hey, we really need to stop eating now. And then after like another 2 bowls of ice cream, it's like, nope, shut it down. Well, all of those feelings are coming as the result of a hormone called leptin. That's leptin working on your body. Leptin is released when your body has all the energy that it needs and is like, yeah, we're pretty good down here. Tell the mouth to shut up. On the other hand, there's another hormone that tells you that you're really hungry and can definitely make it through another 2 slices of pie, and that hormone is called ghrelin, otherwise known as the hunger hormone. This is kind of an oversimplified version of the system, but the basic principle going into a buffet will be like you want your ghrelin to be really high and you want your leptin to be really low, which is basically the fast track to overeating town. So, Captain Obvious alert, you shouldn't go to an all-you-can-eat buffet with a full stomach. Obviously. But there are actually a few other things that you can do to induce ghrelin production. One study found that subjects who are given carbonated beverages about an hour after a late breakfast produced ghrelin at a rate 4 to 5 times that of people who just drank water. And it wasn't sugary sodas that spiked ghrelin production the most. It was actually unflavored carbonated water. So all of this gives us strategy number 1, an hour before your buffet experience, chug yourself some seltzer water. Make sure that those ghrelin levels are as high as possible. And then of course, we're trying to make our appetite raging. So we should probably crush ourselves a few hours on the Stairmaster, right? Make ourselves even hungrier. No. Actually, that's not right at all. Research shows that moderate exercise has little effect on ghrelin production in the body, but strangely enough, longer aerobic workouts with higher intensity actually lead to decreases in ghrelin production, even when you compare it to control groups who weren't exercising at all. Therefore, strategy number 2, lay around like a slug before you go to the all-you-can-eat buffet. Just sit there chugging your seltzer water and only eat a little. You're set, man. Maybe I should rename this as the general guide to getting diabetes. Last, when it comes to delaying the onset of leptin, remember that a buffet is a marathon and not a sprint. Sure, you might come in as ravenous as a hungry raccoon, but after 2 plates of that pork fried rice, you're down on the count. So to keep your leptin levels low, remember, stick to the plan of low-carb eating. At least at the very beginning.
I wonder if, like,
Because, again,
iron
those
ore
are
is
the
a thing
foods
that
are gonna
is
fill
a
you up
thing
the
that-
fastest. Leave
Probably
those
not.
carbs for the end of the meal where they belong. Stuff like a Monster Brownie ice cream sundae, that all-important chocolate fountain. Same thing goes with sugary drinks. Skip
No.
those and stick to water, because it's not going to affect your ghrelin levels as significantly as anything with sweetener. And lastly, while you're doing all of this, eating of beef while you're drinking your water, which sounds just like a terrible meal, but you know what? You are that determined to get your money's worth out of this buffet. Also make sure that you don't pay attention to what you're eating while you're eating it. That's right, people who are distracted while they eat, whether it's multitasking or watching a television show or whatever, they all tend to consume more than those whose brains aren't otherwise occupied. So bring yourself a crossword puzzle, paint watercolors in one hand while you crush some taquitos in the other. Or heck, watch this video to remind yourself why you're there. Not to enjoy yourself a nice meal, but to send as much of the high-ticket items down your digestive system as possible. To stick it to whoever charged you $50 for that Bacchanal buffet. And with that, you have done it, my friends. You are now the master of the buffet. So, that said, you now know all the secrets to take on the world of buffets. Go forth and use those powers wisely. No one likes an upset tummy. So remember, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. Hey friends, 2021 Matt Pat checking in. Hope you enjoyed the whole walk down memory lane, but also brand new content thing that we tried out today. But above all else, I hope you enjoyed my green screen acting. Also, can I just say, as I rewatched this episode 2 years from when we first produced it, the cringy thing that stuck out to me the most was how I literally had a pair of sweatpants slung over my shoulder for like 2 minutes at the top of this episode. Like, I mentioned sweatpants once in passing as a joke, so I don't know, let me just introduce sweatpants as a practical prop that needs to stay on screen for the entire intro. And then I decided not to get an actual key and instead made the editor's motion track a JPEG into my hand. And then later I held a practical plate in my hands but needed a motion tracked meatball to go on that plate. Like, what is green screen Matt Pat's relationship with his environment? What is real in the food theory universe and what isn't? I don't know what to tell you folks, 2019 was apparently a weird time for me. Point is, July 23rd is Food Theory's official 1-year anniversary, and I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you that if you want to celebrate along with us, Food Theory merch is available right below this video, including that amazing apron as well as that adorable pizza plushie inspired by my childhood. Only available for a limited amount of time, so make sure you get those before supplies are gone. And also to thank you all for watching for the last year and for giving feedback. If the tone and style of today's episode struck you as a bit wonky, well, that's because it was made before we had the benefit of your input, which has really helped us craft this channel over the past year into what it is now. So please keep those comments coming. coming. I know us YouTubers tend to joke about like, oh, don't go into the comments and things like that, but really, we're one of those channels that really take the feedback to heart. So thank you from me, Steph, and the whole Food Theory team. It has been a great year, and we're looking forward to serving up plenty more. Now, as your second course, I'd recommend watching the food optimization episode that wound up replacing this episode when we launched the channel. We found out which fast food French fry order gets you the most deliciousness for your dollar. Thanks again for watching. Get your dollar's worth at the next buffet you go to, and make sure you listen to your parents, kids, because if you don't, green screen Matt Pat will come for you in the night holding a JPEG of a knife.
12 hours. Oh boy. Yeah, there's no way I can
Hey, what's
cancel
going
that.
on?
Okay,
everybody?
someone will probably
For First
dope
We
at me
Feast,
though.
I'm Sean Evans,
Or I'll
and
get
you're
a
watching
really
Hot
cheap god
Wings.
potion,
It's
one of
the
the
show
way or
with
the
hot
other.
questions and even hotter wings. And today we're joined by Matt Patrick.
Thanks for having me on, Sean. It's actually been one of my dreams to be on Hot Ones. In fact, we might actually be in one of my dreams right now.
Confirm or deny on that?
Well, considering the fact that my head is a JPEG and my chicken wings are floating in midair, I'm gonna go with dream.
What a ride.
But seriously, Sean Evans, when are you gonna have me on Hot Ones in real life? I'd make a great guest. I'm open, engaging,
enlightening, entertaining.
Hey, now you're gonna make me blush. But most importantly, Sean Evans, my audience has helped me to develop the perfect antidote to spicy wings. I'm serious.
All right, Matt.
What? You don't believe me?
Look at you, Matt Patrick, making it to the finish line.
Finish line? We haven't even started. Hey, where are you taking me? Put me down! Curse you, Sean Evans! I will be invited onto your show one day. I will! You haven't heard the last of Matt Pat!
Cheers.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, where today things are about to get spicy again. So, about a year ago, we did an episode dedicated to spicy food solutions, basically testing out all of those things that you can eat to counteract the effects of spicy food in your mouth. And all of it was framed after my attempts to try and get on Hot Ones, which still has not happened.
Yeah,
So
that was not successful, which means only one thing.
we gotta do it again! Here's a quick recap of how our previous Spicy Wings episode went down. We discussed how capsaicin, the spicy molecule in peppers, binds to TRPV1 pain receptors located on your tongue. So, in order to soothe spicy pain, we need to keep the capsaicin from binding to TRPV1 receptors. And Steph and I found a handful of ways to do that. First, acidic substances like lemon juice did a nice job of neutralizing the capsaicin. We also found that dairy products, which contain a protein called casein, are also able to dissolve capsaicin. And peanut butter, which contains a lot of oil, dissolved the capsaicin in much the same way. Sugary drinks worked pretty well by overpowering the taste of the hot sauce. And finally, we determined the more viscous and cold a substance is, the better. Taking everything we learned from our various tests, we concocted our own spice solutions. A chilled lime simple syrup, which was acidic, sweet, viscous, and cold, as well as a peanut butter honey mixture, which was oily, sweet, and viscous. But we were definitely curious to know if there were even better options out there. And fortunately, you loyal theorists have been flooding us with suggestions and home remedies for the past year over on YouTube, Twitter, Reddit. So this episode is all about you guys. Steph and I are going to try out some of your most requested items, as well as the ones that just
is the
jumped out to us
Hearthstone
as
not
being
the same?
Hopefully you didn't send in a bunch of trolley suggestions, because I could see them doing that. I could see them being like, hey, can you test out this one? Ha ha ha.
You know what makes hot pepper go away? Adding more hot pepper.
So today we're gonna test a handful of different spice chasers against the Wingstop Atomic Sauce, which has a pretty decent amount of heat to it, but isn't anything outrageous. Once we've determined what the best spice chaser of the bunch is in the qualifying rounds, we're gonna pit it against Hot Ones' own Last Dab sauce in the final round. We'll also compare this episode's winner against our previous two winners from the last episode, the Lime Simple Syrup and the Honey Peanut Butter. Because we're trying to stay up on our Hot Ones lore, we've also updated our Hot Ones sauce. This one is the Last Dab Apollo edition, which is their 2021 flavor, I believe. Now, the Scoville rating for the Last Dab Apollo hasn't been announced yet, but it's expected to come in at over 2.5 million Scoville heat units, or SHUs. For reference, a jalapeno pepper, it's got roughly 8,000. That's bad news for Steph because, well, let's just say that spice is not her thing.
Oh God, it's so hot.
It's not leaving.
It's so hot still. Oh God, it's worse. I hate breathing.
Yeah, hashtag relatable there. Yeah, last year's episode was not great for Steph.
If I had a Spice Girl's name, it would be like Wimpy Spice.
So this one is dedicated to you guys at home and also to Sean Evans. Still waiting for that email inviting me onto Hot Ones.
He doesn't invite YouTubers anymore.
Oh, shots fired.
That's the spiciest I'm gonna get today.
No, it's not. You're gonna get a lot spicier. I do know that Hot Ones tweeted out, who do you want to see
There we go.
in the next season of the show? And a lot of you loyal theorists were spamming the comments being like, hey, at MattPatGT, at MattPatGT.
You guys are the best.
Good on you, keep doing that. So anyway, with the politics Hot Ones, we're not really stealing your format at all. We're just showing you what great contestants we would be.
He would be. Please don't call me.
And last thing that's worth noting, if you don't see your spice solution in today's episode, keep sending them in, because who knows, we can make this a yearly thing.
Nope.
We can make this a yearly thing.
No.
Let's do spicy food! Round number 1. Ice cubes? Now, we tested water last time. Water doesn't dissolve capsaicin, and in the end, it didn't help soothe spice pain all that much. But what ice has going for it is extreme coldness, which is probably gonna feel great as temporary relief. A number of you suggested this one as your go-to home remedy, so Steph and I were optimistic as we bit into our first hot wing. It is definitely hotter last time.
Oh, that second bite really started to bloom. Okay, I have a good little furnace going.
Okay.
Oh, there's an immediate cooling sensation.
I cooled my mouth. That's cool.
We should have thought about smaller ice cubes, Matt.
No, that's great. I love this. By the time it's all melted, like literally melted in your mouth, the spice may have already dissipated.
I'm getting some breakthrough heat in the back of my tongue.
Uh-huh. I get that. Yeah. Where I don't want the ice cube to...
I almost choked. I tried to get back there.
I figured you did.
Nope.
Nope.
I reached for the sun.
Come on, Icarus. Icarus, calm down.
Why am I already sweating? This is round 1!
So true story, Stephanie for years has been trying to get me to not chew ice cubes. So I, as a regular ice cube chewer, am familiar with the choking hazards of ice cubes.
It's
Stephanie, not so
very
much.
bad for your teeth. You shouldn't chew ice cubes.
Or maybe it's made my teeth stronger.
Nope, that's really not the way it works.
Maybe I'm building up my muscles in my teeth.
Oh my god.
So honestly, to me, I am shocked by how well this is working. I expected this to perform on par with water, which was not a great performer last year. But here, that extreme cold of ice is actually numbing anything that it's touching. So to me, I gotta say, this got me through the hardest parts of the spice. And so I gotta say, this is like a B+, A- tier.
I would actually have to agree.
The only other thing that I would recommend you do, paint on your lipstick.
Oh yeah.
Because my lips right now are
pretty
also
hot.
feeling it pretty badly. And so if I just do a little, here's my makeup tutorial. Ready, Matt? Here you go. Sup, fam? Today we're doing our ice cube makeup. We should start a
Oh
makeup
my God.
channel. There it is. Makeup theory. So a ton of you suggested spice chasers like sugar milk, milkshakes, ice cream, basically things that checked the dairy, sweetness, viscosity, and coldness checkboxes. Milkshakes feel like they make a good representative for this entire group, so today we're gonna try that with a shake from a local North Carolina chain called Good Berries, which is technically made with frozen custard as opposed to ice cream. The slight difference between the two is that frozen custard contains a bit more egg yolk. My gut says that shakes are gonna be a slam dunk as a spice chaser. And guess what? If it's not a slam dunk, it doesn't matter because it's gonna taste delicious because I love milkshakes. North Carolina, by the way, bam! Mind-blowingly good with milkshakes.
Very good.
Didn't realize it until I lived down here. Great. Cookout, infinite number of milkshakes. Good Berry, boom.
Very
milkshakes.
solid choice.
Brewster's, you're all right.
It's decent.
PDQ?
Oh, PDQ is great.
All right, let's do this one.
Let's do it.
Here we go. First the bite.
Oh, I'm glistening. Oh, I'm glistening.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
It comes back after like.
This is getting to the back of my throat in a way that the ice cube does.
Exactly. That's the thing. It goes all the way back to your throat. I feel like it's a little bit easier to push it also for the front of your mouth. It's also cold.
And it's got better taste than just, frozen water.
This is really good. I would say this is solid A.
Like Steph said, if you want to make your unhealthy meal of fried chicken wings even more unhealthy, chase it down with a nice tall glass of milkshake. Your waistline will thank you.
It will.
Round 3, mouthwash. Yeah, this one was a bit of a surprise. Got a fair number of suggestions for both mouthwash as well as mint. This one seems like it could be a winner because A, there's the overpowering flavor, which should distract you from the spice pain. 2, you get to spit out the mouthwash, along with any lingering capsaicin. And 3, mouthwash contains a bit of alcohol, which is supposed to dissolve capsaicin at the chemical level, at least in theory. In scientific theory. Because last time when we tested vodka as a spice chaser, it did not go well.
From a chemistry perspective, I thought it was soluble. What happened?
There's so much saliva in my mouth that I want to spit it out.
Science has lied to me, and I don't know why.
This is because alcohol also is able to trigger those TRPV1 pain receptors. So rather than soothing the spice pain by dissolving the capsaicin, it actually compounds the pain by opening up more of those receptors. Now, they say insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results, but since mouthwash's taste and alcohol content are vastly different from vodka, we're gonna give it a shot.
So we're going to take a bite, we're going to switch with the mouthwash, and then we have our Oreo spittoon.
Oh, what flavor did we get? We got
Cool mint. It's definitely
cool mint. I was gonna say, I'm a cool mint guy myself.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm not a refreshing mint guy. Here, bite with me, Steph.
I just want our spittoon nearby. Oh, it's really building. Oh, God.
Was it round number 3 where Stephanie really started to lose the last time too?
That made it worse.
Anyway, this is great. Well tasty. Feeling the heat. Definitely in the back of my throat.
This is not gonna help.
No, not at all. Maybe it will. Make sure you gargle.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that sucks. Milkshake.
I'm crying. I'm crying.
I don't even know what to do with this.
Don't do that on camera. Do it that way. Oh my God, that was so bad.
So let me tell you, friends, mouthwash, not great. Basically,
Negative F, what is wrong with you?
there was like this 2 seconds of like, oh, maybe this is gonna help, and then immediately you felt it like erupt 10 times more, and then you spit it out, and then without anything in your mouth, you were just left with pain. It was not great. I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling it all over my. I like want to dunk my face in this milkshake right now. And with that, theorists, I believe we're gonna officially label alcohol-related spice chasers as a theorist-certified terrible idea. Alcohol.
Oh my God.
Alcohol and things with alcohol keep coming up as like a recommendation for us to test. And I'm wondering if the rationale that people have is because of beer. And beer, while alcoholic, is actually utilizing another tactic here, which is that weedy, hopsy, things that, similar to bread, help to dampen the spice. So I'm wondering if people are conflating, hey, beer helps with this, so it must be the alcohol, with, hey, it's actually the hops, wheat, whatever, mixed into the beer that's actually doing the job.
We have to move on to another round.
Yes.
I cannot look at that spittoon anymore.
Oh, this is disgusting, by the way. Little did I know that we were only getting started. The contents of that spittoon were about to get way more horrifying real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, the hits just keep on coming because we're following up mouthwash with soap. You heard that right. Soap. I gotta admit, as unpleasant as this one might seem on the surface, soap at least seems promising from a chemical standpoint. Capsaicin is a thick, greasy substance, so the idea here is that if soap can cut through grease on your dishes, it should be able to do the same thing for your tongue.
The question, I think, becomes, is it better to have really spicy food in your mouth or soap? Which is like the classic punishment for kids that like mouth off in the old barbaric days.
Why we have toothbrushes
In
here
the old
is 'cause
barbaric
we need
days.
to kind of get the soap around our mouth, get it a little bit sudsy so it can start washing away the capsaicin. And so we're gonna do a little toothbrush, a little brush. Make sure you go in circles, Steph.
It has a picture of a duckling on it. It's not gonna kill us, right? This is not.
Why would you assume a duckling is gonna kill us?
No, I mean like it's gentle enough for this duckling. This is not gonna kill us,
Well,
right?
we're gonna spit it out. We're not
Yeah.
gonna eat it.
Yeah, don't eat soap. Just, it's not, don't do that.
Disclaimer, Don't eat soap. You would think that that isn't something that needs to be said in a video, but, you know, this is also the platform where the Tide Pod Challenge existed.
All right, ready, go.
Here we go. Let's do it again.
I used to like this channel so much.
Maybe. Oh yeah, look at that.
Okay, I've got a good heat.
Got a good spice going?
Uh-huh.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Where do you typically start in your mouth when you're brushing?
Upper left-hand corner.
I start lower left.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you're lower.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The problem is that the spice is on my tongue, and I don't want to brush my tongue with soap.
I know.
That's the problem there.
Oh, this is gross.
It's so... What are we doing? What are we doing with ourselves?
Oh, this is gross!
It's terrible.
Ah!
As soon as you're forced to confront the taste, it sucks.
Oh, okay. Oh, God. Okay. So here's the thing. I actually think that was a very effective antidote. It's just the worst antidote. It's really gross. It gives your mouth a really disgusting feel inside. Your spit is all soapy, and you get a lot of spit.
I didn't want the soap touching any of the parts of my mouth that were spicy. Honestly, the back of my throat, still super hot. My tongue, still relatively hot, because guess what? I didn't want to consume soap. Is it a better spice chaser than mouthwash? By leaps and bounds. Is it an edible food product that I'm looking to bring with me on wing night so I can show the world that, look at me, I'm eating spicy wing? No, it's soap. That's stupid. This is stupid. This gets a stupid out of 10. Come on. Theoretically, though, it works. Round number 5, oil. And when I pulled this out, Stephanie's mood went from bad to worse, and I'm not exactly sure why. What's
Yeah,
up?
I'm gonna miss here. You guys have a good night, all right?
To drink oil at one point when I was like, 11 or 12 or something
Really?
like that, thinking that it couldn't be that bad.
Right, yeah.
I actually think that this may be the worst round for me. I look at the idea of drinking